Chapter 69. But take out all the spiritual grasses needed to refine the true condensation pill. I will take 60% of the pill, plus 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. Pill Master Mulberry casually said. He had just come out from his closed-door cultivation, and had made a breakthrough in his research of a pill recipe, so he was in a very good mood. Otherwise, even if Ning Cheng and Tai Shushi wanted to come in, it would not be this fast. Ning Cheng thought to himself that he was really black-hearted. Not only did he take 60% of the pill, he also wanted to add 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. Not only that, but the tone of his voice was also dispensable. If you don't want to refine it, are all pill masters this awesome? Senior Mulberry, I have a piece of news here. If it is useful to Senior, I want 50% of the pill. If it is not useful to Senior, then we will follow Senior's words. Ning Cheng had not finished speaking when Pill Master Mulberry's face sank. He had never seen anyone who dared to bargain with him for alchemy. What kind of news dared to ask him for 10% of the pill? This kid simply did not know what was good for him. Just when Mulberry was about to tell Ning Cheng and Tai Shushi to get lost, Ning Cheng promptly said, "Today there will be a rank 4 rainbow light grass in the Shijie auction house. I do not know if this spiritual grass would be useful to Senior Mulberry. I think this kind of good thing would definitely be taken out as the finale of the auction." Ning Cheng bet that Pill Master Mulberry did not know about the rainbow light grass. If Pill Master Mulberry knew about it, he would definitely not give up the pursuit of the rainbow light grass. This was the conclusion that Ning Cheng came to when he saw him concentrating on studying a rank 3 spiritual grass. Tai Shushi was incomparably anxious in his heart. He did not think that Ning Cheng would really dare to bargain with him. But he did not have the time to apologize to Pill Master Mulberry when he saw Pill Master Mulberry stand up in shock. At this moment Tai Shushi knew that Ning Cheng's words had an effect, and secretly admired him in his heart. Ning Cheng not only dared to bargain, but also dared to say that the rainbow light grass might be taken out as the finale of the auction. In fact, he was very clear that the rainbow light grass had already been sold. Tai Shushi certainly understood Ning Cheng's meaning, because there was still half a day left before the auction. After Pill Master Mulberry finished refining the pill, Pill Master Mulberry, he could still rush to the auction site to pursue the rainbow light grass. Seeing Pill Master Mulberry's expression, Ning Cheng was happy in his heart. This guy really did not know about the rainbow light grass. No wonder he was hiding in his house. Take out the spiritual grasses for refining the true condensation pill. Pill Master Mulberry directly said to Tai Shushi. Tai Shushi did not know that Pill Master Mulberry had already agreed to Ning Cheng's request, and immediately took out a pile of spiritual grasses from the cloth bag that he was carrying on his back, and piled them up on the ground. Pill Master Mulberry waved his hand, and the pile of spiritual grasses instantly disappeared. At the same time he took out a jade bottle, and threw it to Tai Shushi and said, "My success rate in refining the true condensation pills is 6 pills per set. Here are 3 true condensation pills. You can go now." Not to mention 1,000 spirit stones. He didn't even want a single spirit stone. He probably wanted to get to the auction site as soon as possible to see if it was too late. "Thank you, Alchemist Mulberry." Ning Cheng hurriedly pulled Tai Shushi, who was still pleasantly surprised, thanked the Pill Master Mulberry, and hurriedly walked out of the narrow door. "Big brother, you really are something." After walking far away from Pill Master Mulberry's residence, Tai Shushi gave a thumbs up and praised him. "Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's hurry back." This time, Pill Master Mulberry realized that he had kicked an iron plate. He will definitely bear a grudge against us. Next time, don't even think about looking for him to refine pills. This is just a business. Ning Cheng was also extremely happy in his heart. After racking his brains, he finally managed to get his hands on the true condensation pill. With the true condensation pill and the spirit stones, he thought that advancing to the true condensation realm would not be much of a problem. As long as he advanced to the true condensation realm, then when he went to the Hua continent, he would have a few more guarantees. Aya! The two people were not happy for long, when Tai Shushi suddenly called out and stopped. "What's the matter?" Ning Cheng looked at Tai Shushi and asked in a puzzled manner. Tai Shushi patted his head and said, "I was just about to say that we were still missing a stalk of blue tea grass, but you interrupted me and I forgot about it." Once we are discovered by Mulberry, then we would be miserable. Ningcheng also frowned but then said, there shouldn't be any problems. Those spiritual grasses were inspected by Mulberry. Since he put them away, then it means that he has passed the inspection. Besides, if he wants to snatch the rainbow light grass, then at least for a few days he would not be able to take care of the spiritual grasses that we gave him. Even if he saw it, a stalk of blue tea grass would not cost many spirit stones. This is just a small matter. When Tai Shushi heard Ningcheng's words, he also felt relieved in his heart. It seemed that this matter was really not that big. But I think that after you redeem Lian Yi, we should immediately leave the Shijia city. Ningcheng cautiously said. Even if you don't say it, I understand. Tai Shushi nodded. The two people hurriedly found a place to stay. Tai Shushi took out a jade bottle and poured out a true condensation pill and handed the other two to Ningcheng and said, Big brother, I only need one. These are for you. I will leave the spirit stones with you. The day after tomorrow we will go to the Yishui courtyard together. These 2 days I will go into seclusion to sort out my recent gains, and then prepare to advance to the true condensation realm. Ningcheng also did not refuse and took the jade bottle and said, All right, I will also prepare to sort out my gains. I will see you in 2 days. The resources that he needed for his cultivation were simply too terrifying. A single true condensation pill was not necessarily enough, now that he had 2 of them. 2 days later, Ningcheng and Tai Shushi walked into the Yishui courtyard. A few days ago when Tai Shushi left the Yishui courtyard with an anxious expression, but today Tai Shushi was brimming with confidence, and his demeanor was incomparably relaxed. At this time there was a huge banner hanging at the entrance of the Yishui courtyard. On the banner was written, The Yishui courtyard's 11 popular sisters are up for auction today. If you want to understand the specific situation of the 11 sisters of the Yishui courtyard, please pay 10 spirit stones to enter the Yishui courtyard. It was a good calculation. Before selling people, they also wanted to earn an admission fee. This Yishui courtyard really was a place where one would not eat even half a bit of a loss, and would even pluck the feathers from the geese. Hey, how come there are 11 people? Didn't they say that there were 10 people up for auction? Why is there one more? Tai Shushi asked in a strange voice. Ningcheng's mind was already not in the Yishui courtyard. He just wanted to end things here as soon as possible, and then leave. If not for Tai Shushi, he would not have accompanied Tai Shushi to wade through these muddy waters. Don't think too much about it. Hurry up and go in. When we are done with our business, we will leave. Ningcheng reminded Tai Shushi, and then took out a spirit stone and handed it to a pretty sister next to him. This elder sister, I would like to ask if Lu Hanyu is here? If elder sister is not busy, then I would like to ask this elder sister to help me call Lu Hanyu. Tai Shushi could not believe it as he looked at Ningcheng and said, Big brother, you are not in love with that Hanyu, are you? Are you the same as me, and want to redeem Hanyu? Ningcheng did not answer. That pretty sister quickly put away the spirit stone that Ningcheng had given her, and then carefully looked around and whispered, Are you the guest of little sister Hanyu? You do not know, but I do not know what happened to Hanyu these past few days. She unexpectedly did not want to receive any guests. As a result, she was listed for sale. So that's how it is. How did it become 11 people? Tai Shushi suddenly said. Then he remembered what Ningcheng had just asked, and hurriedly asked, Big brother, do you want to redeem Hanyu? You. Ningcheng was silent for a moment and said, There are some things that you will not understand. I have a fiancée, and do not have any feelings for her. But if I can help her once for 1,000 spirit stones, then I would not mind these spirit stones. I understand. Contrary to Ningcheng's expectations, after Tai Shushi said these 3 words, he also became silent. He did not have a fiancée, but he also could not marry Lian Yi. When the 2 people walked into the Yishui courtyard's main hall, Ningcheng finally understood what it meant to be a second-generation ancestor. This was also an auction house, but compared to the previous Shijia auction house, this was simply a vegetable market. In the innermost part of this huge room, there was a temporarily built red square platform. In front of the square platform, there were 7 or 8 young masters sitting in the first row. Seeing these people, Ningcheng first thought of Zhonglu City's Xianyuan Kuei. These guys in Xianyuan Kuei were the same kind of people. Their cultivation level was not high nor low, but with the expression of "I am the best in the world," they talked and talked loudly. They were discussing which pretty sister was worth it, and how much the price should be. In addition to these people in the first row, there were more than a dozen people sitting in the second row. Looking at their clothes and expressions, the people sitting in the second row were not worse than the people sitting in the first row. But they all had their eyes closed, and were not like the young masters sitting in the first row who were talking loudly. In addition to this, Ningcheng also noticed that there were a few men wearing a cultivator's hat that covered their faces, and they were surrounded by a strange aura. Even if Ningcheng had not come into contact with the cultivation method of a female furnace, he knew that these people were here to buy a female furnace. As for some of the older people, they were silently sitting in the corner. He did not know whether they were here to buy a pretty sister, or just to watch the excitement. After Ningcheng and Tai Shusher found a place to sit down, they no longer spoke. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, a pretty woman wearing only an undergarment walked towards the red platform with mantis steps. The snow-white skin outside the undergarment matched with the two groups of trembling breasts. It was just like a living advertisement. Thank you all for coming to our Yishui courtyard to support us. Zhu Jiao is sure that today's listing of the 11 pretty sisters will not let everyone down. Her tone was soft and charming. She had not even finished speaking, when the several young men sitting in the front row laughed and said, "We like you big and white." This elder brother likes Zhu Jiao is not simple. After the listing is over, Zhu Jiao will accompany you. He did not know whether what this woman said was true or false, but at least after she finished speaking, the atmosphere of the scene became even more enthusiastic. Our first listing is Ying Ying. Ying Ying has a 3-line support spiritual root. She has a delicate and beautiful appearance, and is very understanding. She is most suitable as a furnace. This woman called Zhu Jiao spoke bluntly about the matter of being a furnace, and did not have even half a shred of taboo. And the guests who came did not think that there was anything wrong with it. As this Zhu Jiao finished speaking, the red crystal curtain behind her automatically opened, and a woman with long hair wearing a light green robe appeared in front of everyone. This woman looked very beautiful, but there was a trace of indifference in her eyes, making her look more like a puppet that had lost all hope. Chapter 70. Ying Ying's listed price is 1,000 low-grade spirit stones, although this price is far from reflecting the value of Ying Ying. But today, all of you are friends of my Yishui courtyard, and in order to find a better home for Ying Ying, we decided to list it at the lowest price. Zhu Jiao's face had a charming expression. She completely did not know what shamelessness was. 1,300 spirit stones. I have already taken a fancy to Miss Ying Ying. Everyone please do not fight with me. A pale fat man sitting in the first row stood up and shouted. This person reminded Ningcheng of the arrogant old man from the Shijia auction house, but the pale fat man in front of him seemed to only have the cultivation of qi gathering 4th level. He did not know where his confidence came from. 2,000 spirit stones. Ningcheng's guess was not wrong. The pale fat man had just finished speaking, when someone immediately quoted a price. Moreover, the price was increased by 700 spirit stones. The one who quoted the price was a black-robed man sitting in the corner. The pale fat man obviously did not think that someone would not give him face, and immediately became angry. Who are you? Did you just arrive at the Shijia city, and already want to deliberately make me lose face? The words of the fat man contained an important message, that is, you just arrived at the Shijia city, and did not even go to inquire about who I am, and even dared to confront me? Papa, 2 crisp sounds rang out. The black-robed man flew up and slapped the fat man twice in the face. The pale fat man once again fell back, while spitting out 2 teeth. You are nothing. If you dare to talk again, I, your father, will split you. When the black-robed man fell back to his seat, he disdainfully cursed. The pale fat man seemed to be frightened by the fierceness of the black-robed man, and did not dare to continue to speak. Zhu Jiao did not seem to have seen it, and still stood on the stage with a flirtatious look in her eyes, seemingly hoping that someone would quote a higher price. He did not know if Ying Ying was only worth 2,000 spirit stones, or if other people did not dare to compete with the black-robed man. No one continued to increase the price, and finally Ying Ying was sent to the side of the black-robed man. Ningcheng noticed that the black-robed man was definitely at true condensation 2nd level. But he was concealing his cultivation level, and appeared to be only at the qi-gathering 8th level. In Ning Cheng's view, this black-robed man's true condensation 2nd level cultivation was not enough to make the Yishui courtyard afraid. Since this person dared to be so arrogant in this place, it seems that he should have some strength behind him that would make the Yishui courtyard feel fear. The red crystal curtain on the stage was pulled up once again. Zhu Jiao's entire body trembled as she giggled. Congratulations to this friend for getting Ying just now. Congratulations to Ying for finding a better home. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. This black-robed man obviously wanted to buy Ying to use as a cultivation furnace. As such, Ying should have entered a pit of fire. This Zhu Jiao was so shameless, yet she still dared to say such things. The second one to appear is Nuawei. Nuawei has a dual support spiritual root, and is even more gentle and beautiful. If not to help Nuawei find a better home, my Yishui courtyard would not be willing to let her go. In order to make Nuawei even happier in the future, we will only list the price at 1,500 spirit stones. After Zhu Jiao pretended to say something, the crystal curtain behind her automatically opened. Appearing in front of the crowd was a beautiful woman wearing a blue robe. This woman did not look tall, but it gave people a feeling that she was slender. It could be assumed that her temperament was quite good. But what made Ning Cheng puzzled was that Nuawei's face had a very natural smile on it. It was completely different from Ying's previous expression. It seemed that she really wanted to be listed for sale. 2,000 spirit stones. A young man sitting in the second row suddenly made an offer. Ning Cheng at this time discovered that Nuawei was looking at this young man with a very gentle look in her eyes. He immediately knew that this young man was the same as Tai Shu Shi, and was specifically here to take away Nuawei. I bid 2,200 spirit stones. The black-robed man who had previously bid for Ying once again made an offer. When the young man heard this offer, his complexion immediately changed, but he immediately said in a deep voice, 2,300 spirit stones. I bid 2,500 spirit stones. This black-robed man who had already bought a female cultivator seemed to be very rich, and did not hesitate to increase the price. Ning Cheng had already seen it. This black-robed man did not seem to want a furnace, but rather wanted a female cultivator to help him cultivate a certain cultivation method, so it seems that he did not want a single female cultivator. Generally, most of the women who had spiritual roots and cultivated were either taken away by the academies or some small sects, so this person came to the Yishui courtyard to buy a female cultivator. It really was a shortcut. Ning Cheng secretly sighed in his heart. If this was really the case, then if these female cultivators were bought by this person, then their fate would be even more miserable than being used as a furnace. I bid 2,600 spirit stones, senior. Nuawei is a woman that I admire. I ask the senior to be lenient. The young man's tone was very polite. Compared to the white fat man from before, he was much better. At least he did not use the fact that he was the XXX of the Shijia city to threaten others. The black-robed man glanced at the young man, and suddenly said, "Who do you think you are?" 3,000 spirit stones, elder brother Sun. You have already bought one. Leave this one for me. From another corner, a gray-robed man suddenly stood up. He first bid, and then politely cupped his fists towards the black-robed man who had already bought Ying, and was still competing for Nuawei. The black-robed man who had already bought Ying coldly snorted and said, I recently need a few female cultivators. I will not buy them again next time. If you want to compete with me, Sun Shun, then you will be my mortal enemy. Finished speaking, the black-robed man called Sun Shun once again called out a price. 3,100 spirit stones. The gray-robed man who bid 3,000 spirit stones seemed to be afraid of this Sun Shun, frowned, and finally did not continue to increase the price. The face of the youth sitting in the second row who had first bid suddenly changed. He only had at most 2,800 spirit stones on him. Originally he thought that it would be enough, but he did not expect that Nuawei's price would quickly rise to 3,100 spirit stones. He looked at the white fat man who still had blood on his face, and finally did not continue to speak. Seeing that the man who wanted to redeem her did not increase the price, Nuawei finally felt that something was wrong. Her face instantly turned pale. The time that they had stayed in this kind of place was not just 1 or 2 days. As such, they had long heard about some strange cultivators who used female cultivators for their cultivation. Now that this black-robed man called Sun Shun had already bought Ying, and now he wanted to buy her again, it was obvious that he wanted to use female cultivators for his cultivation. Once she fell into the hands of such a person, then she could only pray that she would die a quick death. Meng Lang, you increase the price, quickly increase the price. I beg you to increase the price. Nuawei finally could not sit still, as she almost cried out on the high platform. Her voice was sad, and made people endlessly worried. Unfortunately, her Meng Lang not only did not increase the price, but instead lowered his head. Zhu Jiao suddenly frowned, and gave a cold snort. Nuawei, on hearing this cold snort, subconsciously shuddered, and no longer dared to ask her Meng Lang to increase the price. Tai Shu, who was sitting next to Ning Cheng, sighed and said, "They are really too pitiful. If I had not met you, then Liani would also be as pitiful as them." Ning Cheng had not seen this kind of thing many times. As such, he could not calmly watch these female cultivators fall into the pit of fire like the rest of the people. Even if these female cultivators were prostitutes, he still could not remain calm. At this point of time, he was clenching his fists so hard that water almost came out, but unfortunately he could not help them in any way. He could only watch the black-robed man called Sun Shun use 3,100 spirit stones, as he once again bought Nuawei. Then, just like what Sun Shun said, the third and fifth women were bought by him. The fourth, sixth, and seventh women were bought by the rest of the people. These three beautiful sisters of the Yishui courtyard did not know whether it was because Sun Shun did not like them, or because their qualifications did not meet his requirements, but he did not bid for them. But as long as he bid for them, they would all be bought by him. The young masters in the 2 rows in front of him had bid many times, but they were not successful even once. With the experience of the white-robed fatty, no one dared to continue to threaten these unidentified black-robed men, or these cultivators' hats that covered their faces. The 8th one to be listed is our Yishui courtyard's red card, Miss Liani. Miss Liani has a main spiritual root. Moreover, her appearance is also one of the most outstanding among the people listed. Miss Liani's listed price is 2,000 low-grade spirit stones. The guests who like Miss Liani, please make your move. The earlier you make your move, the earlier you make your move. After the crystal curtain behind Zhu Jiao was pulled open, a tall woman with a pale face appeared. This woman had long hair, and was even more beautiful than the 7 people in front of her. Not only that, this woman's cultivation level was the highest so far. She was already at Qi Gathering 5th level. Ning Qing secretly praised Tai Shusher's vision. This female cultivator was really good. I bid 2,500 low-grade spirit stones. The black-robed man Sun Shun was the first to bid. Tai Shusher immediately increased the price, 3,000 spirit stones. As if she heard Tai Shusher's voice, Liani looked up in surprise, and then she saw Tai Shusher. Her eyes immediately revealed a fiery light. Even her pale face turned a little rosy. 3,500 spirit stones. This woman called Liani is mine. Who dares to increase the price? Sun Shun's tone became cold, while his eyes swept towards Tai Shusher with a killing intent. This kind of killing intent was almost tangible. Tai Shusher immediately felt it. At the same time, he also understood that Sun Shun was definitely not at the Qi Gathering 8th level, but rather a cultivator at the true condensation realm. After he felt that Sun Shun was a cultivator in the true condensation realm, Tai Shusher's face immediately turned ugly. He even paused for a moment. He did not know if he should continue to increase the price. If he continued to raise the price, Fatty Bai's mistake was not far away. Not only would he not be able to take away Liani, but he would also implicate Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng looked at Tai Shusher's face and expression, and knew that Tai Shusher was shocked by Sun Shun's cultivation level and killing intent. He quoted without hesitation, "For 1,000 spirit stones. Good, you have guts. You actually dare to snatch a woman from me, Sun Shun." As Sun Shun spoke, his entire body once again surged with a murderous aura. At the same time, his figure once again rushed out, as he directly slapped Ning Cheng's face. Ning Cheng was a cultivator at Qi Gathering 9th level. In his eyes, he was just like an ant. "Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you grumble in front of me?" Ning Cheng was well aware of the importance of imposing manner. As such, he used Sun Shun's words to ridicule him. before he similarly flew up, and then punched out with his fist. Chapter 71. Other people's fists would go straight out, but Ning Cheng's fist was chopped out. This fist chopped out, it was like a huge axe chopping down, filled with an overflowing killing intent. This was not a punch. It was almost like an axe chopping down. The axe fist directly dispersed Sun Shun's killing intent, but the axe fist did not even slow down, and still fell down. Bang! A muffled sound was heard. Ning Cheng's fist directly blew away Sun Shun's palm. Because Sun Shun did not put the Qi-gathering realm Ning Cheng in his eyes, he did not use his full strength in this slap. In his view, this slap was enough to knock out all of Ning Cheng's teeth. But he did not think that Ning Cheng's imposing manner would be so powerful. He wanted to gather his true essence, but it was already too late, and could only retreat. Ning Cheng saw through Sun Shun's thoughts. After the axe fist blew away Sun Shun, while Sun Shun was retreating, he once again sent out a kick. This kick landed solidly on Sun Shun's chest, and directly kicked Sun Shun back. It looked like Sun Shun was sent flying by Ning Cheng's kick, but in fact Sun Shun was not injured at all. He was just taking advantage of the situation. But on the surface, Sun Shun wanted to teach Ning Cheng a lesson, but the result was that Ning Cheng taught him a lesson, and even kicked him away. Losing such a big face, Sun Shun's face turned red with anger, but at the same time he also felt a bit of fear towards Ning Cheng. He and Ning Cheng had just fought in a hurry, but he already knew that Ning Cheng was not an ordinary Qi-gathering cultivator. Xiao, a red flying sword, appeared in Sun Shun's hands. At the same time his imposing manner skyrocketed. It seems that he wanted to fight with Ning Cheng again. Zhu Jiao, who had been indulging, finally could not help but said, "If the two guests want to fight, then please leave this room, and go outside to fight. This is the Yishui courtyard's listed room. If everyone did this, then my Yishui courtyard would no longer exist." This sentence was a combination of carrot and stick. Sun Shun's face turned blue. He finally stared at Ning Cheng and coldly snorted. Good, today I, Sun Shun, will see how you leave Shijia City." Ning Cheng patted his clothes that did not have any wrinkles, and indifferently replied, "I, your father, will still say the same words, you are nothing." He and Sun Shun exchanged a few moves. He knew that this person's cultivation level was only equivalent to Xiong Qi Hua. If he used his full strength, he was not afraid of this Sun Shun at all. Ning Cheng also guessed that there was someone behind this Sun Shun. He believed that this person would not even bother to find someone to deal with him, and would definitely stop him outside the Shijia City. As long as he killed Sun Shun outside of Shijia City, he would immediately leave. Afterwards, even if people knew about it, he would have already left the Shijia City. Seeing Ning Cheng teach a lesson to the incomparably arrogant black-robed man Sun Shun, no one in the room dared to continue to increase the price. Ning Cheng used 4,000 spirit stones to buy Liani back. Tai Shusher even forgot that Liani had come over, and still spoke with excitement. "Big brother, good skill, good job." "Sure too." It was not until Liani called out in a trembling voice that Tai Shusher came to his senses. He immediately stood up, grabbed Liani's hands and spoke. "Liani, you can rest assured, I will never let you come to such a place again." Liani had been in a place like the Yishui courtyard all year round. As such, her eyes were not something that Tai Shusher could compare to. She already knew from Tai Shusher how to address Ning Cheng. As such, she gave a bow to Ning Cheng and spoke. "Many thanks, big brother, for helping me redeem Liani." Tai Shusher was in a very good mood, and immediately said, let's go out and talk about it." At this time Zhu Jiao once again called out from the stage. "Congratulations to Lian Yi for returning to the side of her beloved. The happiest thing about my Yishui courtyard is this kind of thing." The next one to appear on stage is the youngest girl in the history of my Yishui courtyard. She is only 18 years old, Miss Han Yu. Han Yu is very considerate, delicate and charming, although she has 3 spiritual roots, but she has a main spiritual root. If not to thank the guests who came to my Yishui courtyard to participate in the unveiling, we really would not be willing to hang up such an outstanding girl like Han Yu. Miss Han Yu's listed price is also 2,000 low-grade spirit stones. As Zhu Jiao finished speaking, the crystal curtain rolled up, and a short-haired woman appeared. This woman was indeed as Zhu Jiao said. She was delicate and charming, but her eyes seemed to have a trace of decisiveness, and her face was extremely calm. Sure enough, it was Lu Hanyu, Ningqing secretly sighed in his heart. He did not know when Lu Hanyu's hair had been cut off, but her eyes showed that she was ready to die. But she had underestimated the people who bought these female cultivators. Once they bought them, even if they wanted to die, they would not be able to do so. I bid 2,100 spirit stones. Someone immediately began to bid. 2,200 spirit stones. 2,300 spirit stones. The price soon rose to 2,500 spirit stones. Sun Shun coldly stared at Ningqing, and suddenly said in a loud voice, 3,000 spirit stones. As soon as Sun Shun called out his price, the surrounding voices instantly cooled down. 3,100 spirit stones. As soon as Ningqing called out his price, the surrounding people immediately knew that it had come again. This young man who was carrying a spear on his back did not seem to fear Sun Shun. Not only did he not fear him, he even wanted to go against him. Sun Shun's face sank. He suddenly stood up and said, "Kid, who are you daring to go against this Sun everywhere?" "Go against you everywhere? Idiot! Who do you think you are? Don't think too highly of yourself," Ningqing lightly said. He knew that Sun Shun was going to attack him, so he might as well thoroughly provoke this guy now. Very good. After Sun Shun heard Ningqing's words, he did not continue to bid but instead sat down. The room was silent. A lot of people were very clear. It was not because Sun Shun was afraid of Ningqing, but because he already regarded Ningqing as a dead man. He would not haggle with a dead man. Even if this dead man obtained many things, he would not be able to take them away. Sun Shun did not increase the price, and no one would come to snatch Lu Hanyu from Ningqing. Lu Hanyu finally understood that Ningqing had come to redeem her. At this moment she tightly covered her mouth with her hand. She could not believe it. A person she had only met once would use more than 3,000 spirit stones to redeem her. At this moment, the will to die in her eyes disappeared without a trace, and in her eyes was a pleasant surprise. In the eyes of others, it was certain that Ningqing had taken a fancy to her and wanted to redeem her to serve him. Only Lu Hanyu was clear that Ningqing absolutely did not take a fancy to her, but really came to redeem her. There was no reason for this, it was just a kind of intuition. "Big brother Ning, I did not think that you would come to redeem me." Lu Hanyu, who was sent to Ningqing and Tai Shusher, still could not believe that this was true. Knowing each other is predestined. Ningqing indicated that Lu Hanyu did not need to take this matter to heart. Then he took out the spirit stones and handed them over to the Yishui courtyard. After Ningqing handed over the spirit stones, he immediately turned to Tai Shusher, Lianyi and Lu Hanyu and said, "We will leave immediately." Tai Shusher understood the meaning of Ningqing's words and gave Lianyi a meaningful glance. Lianyi and Lu Hanyu had been in this kind of place for a long time, so they did not need to be reminded. They already understood their situation. Without saying a word, they quickly followed Ningqing and Tai Shusher out of the room. Sun Shun looked at the four people leaving and sneered. He also stood up, and along with the few female cultivators that he had bought, quickly followed them out. After the four people came out of the Shijia city, they ran all the way. But Lu Hanyu and Lianyi's cultivation was too low and could not increase their speed. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ningqing finally stopped. He knew that Sun Shun had caught up and guessed that he wanted to make a move here. If it was only the two of them, then there was still a way to escape, but with Lu Hanyu and Lianyi, they absolutely could not escape. When the other three people saw Ningqing stop, they also stopped. Tai Shusher knew that Sun Shun had the cultivation of true condensation realm, and asked with some worry, "Big brother, that guy has caught up, what should we do?" Ningqing took out a bag and handed it to Tai Shusher and said, "Stone, inside there is a simple map to the Hua continent, and also some spirit stones. You take Lianyi and Lu Hanyu and go first, I will come later. If we do not meet up in 3 days, then we will meet again in the Hua continent." When Tai Shusher heard Ningqing's words, he immediately knew what Ningqing wanted to do. He wanted to block Sun Shun for the few people, and let the three of them go first. How can that be? If you want to fight, then let's fight together. I am also a Qi gathering 9th level cultivator. Tai Shusher refused without hesitation. Ningqing showed a faint smile and said, "I have killed a true condensation 5th level cultivator. That Sun Shun was just a trivial true condensation 2nd level cultivator. I really did not put him in my eyes. You staying here would only delay our time. You also know the reason, letting you go first, is just to speed up the process of leaving this place. When Ningcheng said that he had killed a true condensation 5th level cultivator, Tai Shushi was not surprised. In the Ping continent and the Yuan continent, most of the true condensation cultivators cultivated incomplete cultivation methods, and did not pay attention to the cultivation of spiritual sense. Ningcheng cultivated a complete cultivation method, so it was really possible. But he always felt that something was not right. As for what was wrong, he could not say it. Let's go. I am alone. You do not have to worry about me. Ningcheng went up and patted Tai Shushi's shoulder. Tai Shushi was very straightforward. Seeing that Ningcheng was so confident, he also nodded and put away the things that Ningcheng had handed to him and said, "Good, then we will go first." Lu Hanyu walked to Ningcheng's side. She had not even started to speak, when Ningcheng gave a sunny smile and said, "Congratulations to Miss Hanyu for leaving the Yishui courtyard. I also thank you for the spiritual tea that you gave me last time. Perhaps I would never be able to drink that kind of good tea again." Lu Hanyu did not answer his question and said, "I understand, you take care of yourself." Saying that, she gave a bow to Ningcheng. She certainly understood. The reason why Ningcheng saved her was because of the spiritual tea, and not because he had taken a fancy to her. But that spiritual tea was indeed the most precious thing that she had. No one knew that cup of spiritual tea. The value of it was many times more precious than the spirit stones that Ningcheng had taken out. For her, the most precious thing was not the spiritual tea itself. Chapter 72. After Tai Shushi and the others left, Ningcheng arranged an array formation in the same place as fast as he could. The array formation had just been arranged, when swish, a blue-colored airship-type artifact landed not far away from Ningcheng. Sun Shun coldly glanced at the place where Tai Shushi and the other 2 people disappeared, and then calmly got down from the airship. It seemed that he was not in a hurry at all. There were also 4 women in the airship. These 4 women were bought by Sun Shun from the Yishui courtyard. Ningcheng stared at Sun Shun's blue-colored airship, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This fellow was very rich. Even his airship was unexpectedly a medium-grade artifact. Idiot, it really is a good idea. You can stop me for a moment, and then the other 3 can escape first, ha ha ha. Sun Shun looked at Ningcheng and laughed, but his eyes did not have even half a trace of a smile. In the Shijia city, if I, Sun Shun, want to kill someone, there has never been an exception. While speaking, a red flying sword appeared in his hand. It was the red flying sword that he had brought out in the Yishui courtyard. Ningcheng patted his back, and the broken spear also fell into his hands. Not waiting for Sun Shun to continue speaking, Ningcheng turned towards the 4 women on the airship and spoke. "Now I have an opportunity. I want to fight with this fellow who uses women to cultivate. I'm sure that this fellow does not have the time to look for you. If you don't want to be a coward and become a cauldron, then leave by yourself." Sun Shun was shocked when he heard this. He did not think that Ningcheng would not only snatch Lian, Yi and Lu Hanyu from his hands, but also dare to encourage the women he had already bought to escape. He looked back at the 4 women who seemed to be really interested in him, and suddenly laughed out loud and said, "I, your father, was able to catch that Tai Shushi who had escaped, so why would I be afraid of the people on my airship escaping? You should think about how to die first, because you'll soon realize that it's impossible for you to die even if you want to." Just as Sun Shun finished speaking, the red flying sword in his hands immediately covered Ningcheng with a red curtain, revealing his cultivation of true condensation 2nd level without a doubt. Ningcheng knew that Sun Shun was absolutely not someone that the ordinary true condensation cultivators of the Ping continent could be compared to. He was also a person that cultivated a complete cultivation method. Looking at the way he controlled the flying sword, he knew that his spiritual sense was not bad. Otherwise, he would not have been able to control the airship to chase them here. Moreover, he would not have the confidence to catch up with Tai Shushi and the others. Ningcheng's hand shook, and the blue cloth wrapped around the long spear was torn apart, revealing the broken long spear. He casually waved his spear and brought out a spear light. Just before the spear shadows and the red sword curtain collided with each other, Ningcheng once again spoke up. "The opportunity to live is something that you have to fight for yourself. Now that I have given you a chance to live, Yet you chose not to take it. You deserve it in the future. Listening to Ning Cheng's words, and seeing the might of Ning Cheng and Sun Shun, the four women who were still hesitating on the airship finally no longer hesitated, and jumped down from the airship one after another. They did not even have the time to say thank you words, as they scattered in all directions, disappearing in just a blink of an eye. Sun Shun, on seeing that Ning Cheng had really succeeded in encouraging his women to escape, immediately became so angry that he almost vomited blood. He was not worried that these women would be able to escape. He was angry because a chi-gathering 9th level ant had told them to escape, but these idiots really believed it. Now that he, Sun Shun, had bought them, how could they leave? Under the surge of anger, the red sword curtain became even more murderous. He wanted to kill Ning Cheng in the first moment, and then capture those cheap women one by one, and let them know the fate of betraying him, Sun Shun. Sun Shun quickly came to his senses. His sword curtain did not as he had expected. Ning Cheng's spear would be blown away, and then bound Ning Cheng and sent him in front of him. Ning Cheng's spear shadows had a total of 12. When these 12 spear shadows came out, they were scattered all over the place. But in the middle of these 12 spear shadows, they quickly formed an ice line that was invisible to the naked eye, and these ice lines instantly connected the spear shadows. Finally, even these 12 spear shadows were linked together, forming an ice-cold spear net. Ka. After a burst of intensive crisp sounds, the red sword curtain completely disappeared, leaving only a flying sword exposed under the ice-cold spear net, but the spear shadows were still as fierce as before. If one had to say that something was blocked by his sword curtain, then it should be that the ice in the middle of the spear net had weakened, and was unable to continue to form the ice-cold spear net. You actually have a profound grade spear technique. Sun Shun came to understand. Ning Cheng cultivated a complete cultivation method. As such, he did not find it strange that he had a spiritual sense. He also cultivated a complete cultivation method, so when he was in the chi-gathering realm, he was also able to control a flying sword to fight against the enemy. Ning Cheng was able to break his sword curtain, and even had the absolute upper hand, not because his cultivation level was much higher than his, but because it was a profound grade spear technique. Puff puff. Several bloody lights shot out from Sun Shun's body. Sun Shun did not think that Ning Cheng would have a profound grade spear technique, even if he finally knew about it, and tried his best to remedy it, but he was still pierced by several spear shadows. He did not fear Ning Cheng because of this. Instead, he took out a pill and threw it into his mouth, and then stuck out his tongue to lick the blood that splashed on his chin. At this time in his eyes there was a kind of crazy heat. He completely forgot about the few women who had escaped. No woman could be more important than a profound grade spear technique. What he wanted was the profound grade spear technique on Ning Cheng's body. Sun Shun did not continue to bring out his flying sword, but rather he patted the storage bag on his waist, and suddenly a moldy copper coin appeared in his hands. Go to hell for me. Sun Shun's mouth showed a trace of sarcasm, as he brought out the copper coin in his hands. This copper coin instantly turned into a huge square hole the size of a dustpan. The next moment, the surrounding air seemed to be driven by this copper coin, and seemed to stagnate. Ning Cheng felt his hands sink. The broken spear in his hands also seemed to have become a lot heavier. Ning Cheng immediately knew that there should be a problem with the copper coin that Sun Shun had just brought out. He forcibly gathered his chi, and wanted to once again shoot out his 36 profound ice spear technique. But his 36 profound ice spear technique had just gathered its spear force. When he felt his hands go numb, the broken spear in his hands unexpectedly could not be held, and was directly swept away by a powerful force from the surroundings. The next moment he saw that the square copper coin had passed through the long spear, and directly sent the long spear flying. When the long spear left his hands, the heavy feeling in Ning Cheng's hands also instantly disappeared. Sun Shun's nostrils issued a sneer. The red flying sword once again brought out 3 sword lights. 2 of the sword lights completely sealed off Ning Cheng's retreat, while the third sword light came towards Ning Cheng's waist, wanting to cut Ning Cheng's waist in half. The sword light was incomparably fast. In a hurry he had lost his long spear. Ning Cheng simply did not have any leeway to block it. At this time what Ning Cheng wanted the most was a defensive magical weapon. If he had a defensive magical weapon, Then he would not have to worry about the sword light that was coming towards him. He could choose to rush towards the opponent. Sun Shun's face was also extremely pale. Even the sword light was somewhat trembling. It was obvious that he needed a lot of true essence to control that copper coin. Seeing that the sword light was about to cut through his waist, Ningcheng immediately sent out an axe fist. The axe fist blocked the sword light for a moment. The sword light eased a lot. The killing force also subsided a lot, but it still fell on Ningcheng's waist. Sun Shun was secretly relieved. He absolutely did not want Ningcheng to die so quickly, but Ningcheng's fierceness was beyond his expectations. Now facing his sword light. Even if the opponent was even more ruthless, the only fate that awaited him was to be cut in half. Chi, the sound of leather being cut resounded. Ningcheng crazily spat out a mouthful of blood, but did not retreat. Sun Shun looked at the intact Ningcheng, and the exposed armor on Ningcheng's waist. He immediately knew what was going on. Even if at this time his true essence was almost exhausted, he once again gathered his flying sword, and wanted to attack Ningcheng once again. At the same time that the broken spear in Ningcheng's hands was swept away, he immediately brought out his 7 Pleiades ice needle. But his 7 Pleiades ice needle had not even had the time to attack the enemy, when it was cut by the sword light. This was also the first time that he had encountered such a situation. It was because he did not have enough experience against the enemy. Now that he knew that the copper coin was the culprit that had swept away his broken spear, how could he wait for the opposite party to attack again? At the same time that Sun Shun brought out his flying sword, the 7 Pleiades ice needle had already crossed the distance between the two of them. When the 7 Pleiades ice needle pierced through Sun Shun's chest, Sun Shun knew that he had been plotted against, and immediately cried out in horror. How is this possible? Why did my 5 elements treasure fall copper coin not drop this artifact? A formidable destructive force wreaked havoc in his body. Sun Shun thoroughly understood. If he did not call for help, then he would have fallen here today. A bright red light came out from his hand. This light was just like a meteor, as it shot out from Sun Shun's hand. What's going on? Sun Shun saw that the bright red light that was calling for help seemed to have met with some kind of obstruction, and was only able to shoot for less than 10 feet, when it was blocked. Ningcheng drove the 7 Pleiades ice needle into Sun Shun's body, and Sun Shun's eyes immediately lost their luster. He was still staring at Ningcheng. He really could not figure out, why would he fall in the hands of a chi-gathering realm kid? I am just a small array formation master. Before you came, I had already arranged a small array formation to block some shameless people from calling for help, idiot. Ningcheng said as he punched out. Sun Shun was directly blown away by Ningcheng's punch, and when he fell down again, he was already a corpse. Only then did the dazzling red light that was blocked by the array formation fall down and slowly dissipate into thin air. Chapter 73. Ningcheng quickly put away everything that he could put away. Even the airship-type artifact was simply refined by him before he put it into his storage bag, before he quickly left. Originally Ningcheng and Tai Shu had an appointment to meet in 3 days. He was worried that Sun Shun would ask for help. Once the opponent was too strong, Ningcheng even planned to escape to the Dawn Forest. Now that Sun Shun was killed by him, and the distress signal had not been sent out, it made Ningcheng feel relieved. He had not been separated from Tai Shu for a long time, so he thought that he would soon be able to catch up with them. But after 2 hours, Ningcheng stopped, as he felt that something was wrong. He had obviously followed the trail of Tai Shu, but after arriving here, he found that there was no trace of him at all. Ningcheng once again searched the place where Tai Shu had disappeared several times, but was still not able to find even half a clue. Half a day later, Ningcheng left the place. He decided to go to the edge of the Thunderfall Desert to wait. He had given the map to Tai Shu. If Tai Shu wanted to go through the desert to the Hua continent, then he would have to go through the entrance marked on the map. From the Yuan continent to the Hua continent, one must pass through the Thunderfall Desert, whether you fly or walk. Outside the Thunderfall Desert, there were 3 small towns: Thunderfall Town, Moonsand Town, and Firefly Town. Among these 3 towns, the largest and most lively town was the Thunderfall Town. Every year, there were countless cultivators that entered the Thunderfall Desert from the Thunderfall Town. Other than a very small number of people who wanted to search for treasures in the Thunderfall Desert, Most of the people wanted to pass through the Thunderfall Desert to enter the Hua continent. In fact, there were very few people who could pass through the Thunderfall Desert and enter the Hua continent. Most of the people died in the Thunderfall Desert. For a long time, the Thunderfall Desert was also known as the Falling Bone Desert. There were just too many white bones inside. Too many cultivators had fallen here. Even so, the number of people who entered the Thunderfall Desert never stopped, one wave after another. According to the simple map that Ning Cheng had obtained from Ko Hong, he did not enter from the Thunderfall town, but rather from the Moon Sand town. The Moon Sand town was relatively remote, and the resources in the surrounding desert were less, far from the prosperity of the Thunderfall town. Ning Cheng rushed all the way, and a month later appeared outside the Moon Sand town. In this 1 month he did not even take out the storage bag of the black-robed man Sun Shun to check. The main reason was that he wanted to rush to the Moon Sand town as soon as possible. Once he arrived at the Moon Sand town, he could not only wait for Tai Shu Shi. If there was any problem, he could also escape to the Thunderfall Desert at the first moment. Some of the tired adventurers came back from the outside, and just like Ning Cheng, stepped into the afterglow of the setting sun and entered the Moon Sand town. Compared to the bustling Thunderfall town, the Moon Sand town seemed somewhat desolate. Ning Cheng was sure that with his speed, Tai Shu Shi would definitely not arrive before him. He decided to wait for Tai Shu Shi in the Moon Sand town, so that he could refine the 2 artifacts in his hands, and at the same time prepare to advance to the true condensation realm. Whether it was the moldy copper coin, or the medium-grade airship-type artifact, Ning Cheng was very much looking forward to them. Relatively speaking, he did not care about the red flying sword. Moon Sand Town's rest stop was as sparse as the passers-by. It was also sparse. Ning Cheng found a rest stop in an inconspicuous part of the town, and stayed there. Cultivators like Ning Cheng were everywhere in the Moon Sand Town. These cultivators would usually go out once every few months. When they came back, they would choose to go into closed-door cultivation. When their cultivation resources were exhausted, they would once again leave Moon Sand Town. And so on and so forth until the day they die. Searching for cultivation resources in the Thunderfall Desert, there were only a few people who did not die. Although they knew this, but this kind of life was still the choice of many rogue cultivators, or perhaps they simply did not have any other choice. The rest stop that Ning Cheng found was called Moon River Rest Stop. Even in the Moon Sand Town, the Moon River Rest Stop was a small and inconspicuous place. Living in this kind of place were the most destitute of the rogue cultivators. Ning Cheng did not care about it. After he entered the rest stop, he immediately put up the closed-door medallion, and simultaneously arranged a variety of array formations in the room, concealing spiritual array, defensive array. After arranging the array formations, Ning Cheng first took out the moldy copper coin. This copper coin was able to sweep away his spear-type artifact, which made Ning Cheng extremely surprised. If he did not have the 7 Pleiades ice needle and the inner armor, perhaps he would have been killed by that Sun Shun. The main reason for this was that he lacked experience in fighting against enemies, but the power of this moldy copper coin was beyond doubt. Refining this copper coin was extremely difficult. It took Ning Cheng 10 days, but he was only able to refine one of the layers of restrictions. At the same time, he also understood why Sun Shun had such a difficult time using this copper coin to sweep away his artifact. That Sun Shun at most had only refined 2 layers of restrictions. Coupled with his limited cultivation, it was extremely difficult for him to use it. This copper coin was called the 5 Elements Treasure Fall Copper Coin. No wonder his spear was taken away by this copper coin. It turned out to be a magical artifact that was specifically used to drop magical artifacts. This magical artifact was simply too heaven-defying. Unfortunately, this copper coin had a fatal flaw. That is, it could only drop magical artifacts of the 5 elements. The 7 Pleiades ice needle was refined from a tail needle. It was not within the 5 elements. As such, this copper coin could not fall. In any case, this was definitely a treasure. Moreover, it was a good treasure. As for the other layers of restrictions, Ning Cheng did not continue to refine them. He intended to wait until he had free time to refine the restrictions. Compared to the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin, this medium-grade airship-type artifact was much easier to refine. Ning Cheng only spent half a day, and was able to refine this medium-grade airship-type artifact, while simultaneously taking this artifact as his own. Ningcheng also refined the red flying sword and threw it into his own storage bag. He did not like flying sword-type artifacts. Ningcheng finally took out the black robed man's storage bag. In the Yishui courtyard, Sun Shun was extremely generous, so Ningcheng was very much looking forward to his storage bag. Ningcheng did not spend much time refining this storage bag, but when his spiritual consciousness swept into the storage bag, he was immediately disappointed. According to the way Sun Shun spent his spirit stones, Ningcheng thought that his storage bag would have at least 30 to 40,000 spirit stones, but in fact, this storage bag only had about 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. This was also because the other party had not bought Lian Yi and Lu Hanyu. Otherwise, there would only be about 2,000 spirit stones in this storage bag. Inside the storage bag, there were a few bottles of pills, as well as a few jade strips. Ningcheng casually took out one of the jade strips and swept it with his spiritual sense. It really was the same as what he had guessed. These jade strips recorded how to use female cultivators for cultivation. From this, it could be seen that this Sun Shun's master was not a good person. Sweeping the rest of the jade strips, he found that they all had the same type. Ningcheng directly brought out a ball of flame and burned these jade strips. He came from Earth and could not accept that this kind of cultivation method existed in this world. After obtaining the 10,000 spirit stones, in addition to his own 1 or 2,000 spirit stones, Ningcheng decided to attack the true condensation realm. When he reached the true condensation realm, presumably Tai Shushi would also come to the Moon Sand Town. One by one, the spirit stones were turned into powder by Ningcheng, and the spiritual qi was blocked by the array formation that he had arranged, although there was still some spiritual qi that could not be blocked. But when the guests of the rest stop went into seclusion, the spiritual qi would circulate, so no one would find it strange. A month later, Ningcheng once again went out to purchase some food, and once again returned to his room. At this time, he was already at the great circle of qi gathering 9th level, and was ready to advance to the true condensation realm. After taking the true condensation pill, the qi in his body immediately became restless. Ningcheng knew that the process of advancing to the true condensation realm was to transform his qi into true essence. So his heart was not in a hurry, and slowly revolved his cultivation method to transform his qi into true essence. He cultivated the complete cultivation method. When his qi was at the qi gathering 9th level, it had already begun to transform into true essence. Now with the help of the true condensation pill, it was not difficult for him to begin the transformation. As time passed by in Ningcheng's closed-door cultivation, the pile of spirit stones around him was getting smaller and smaller. He did not know how much time had passed, but when Ningcheng transformed all the qi in his meridians into true essence, the meridians in his body issued a burst of caw-caw sound. It seemed that at this moment, all the meridians had more than doubled in size. Phew, Ningcheng took a deep breath and suddenly stood up. Is this the true condensation realm? Ningcheng had just advanced to the true condensation realm, and could feel the flow of true essence in his body that was several times more powerful than when he was at the qi gathering 9th level, and could not help but exclaim out loud. Before he reached the condensing reality realm, he always thought that the condensing reality realm was just SOSO. After all, he was able to kill a condensing reality realm cultivator when he was only at the qi gathering realm. But when he reached the condensing reality realm, he realized that the difference between the condensing reality realm and the qi gathering realm was just too huge. The reason why he was able to kill condensing reality realm warriors was that he had never met a real condensing reality realm warrior before. If there was a condensing reality realm warrior like him, how could a qi gathering realm warrior fight against him? The power of true essence was not something that true qi could compare with. Calculating that he had already been in the Moon Sand Town for almost 2 months, but there was still no news of Tai Shushi. Ningcheng decided not to wait any longer. He wanted to enter the Thunderfall Desert alone and go to the Hua continent. Ningcheng cleaned himself up and walked out of the rest stop. He was ready to leave some traces outside the Moon Sand Town. After Tai Shushi came to the Moon Sand Town, he knew that he had already been here. Ningcheng had just walked out of the town when he saw a group of people gathered at the entrance of the town. These people seemed to be chattering enthusiastically. Ningcheng curiously squeezed his way in, only to find that there was a notice posted under the huge signboard outside the town. There was a huge portrait on the notice. It was his appearance, and he was carrying a spear on his back. The content of the notice was very clear. If someone got any news about the person in the portrait, they could immediately report it. The person who reported it could get a reward of 10,000 spirit stones. If they could catch the person in the portrait, they could get a reward of 100,000 spirit stones, regardless of whether they lived or died. Originally it was a warrant for his arrest. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. In this moon sand town, wanting to catch him was simply a dream. Hey, it's him. He is the person on the warrant. At this time someone had already discovered Ning Cheng and immediately exclaimed out loud. With this exclamation, the surrounding people found that the wanted person was right in front of them. Some of the cultivators even took out their artifacts, but they did not dare to rush up and capture Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's imposing manner clearly showed that they were not Ning Cheng's opponent. If they tried to force their way up, they would only die. Spirit stones were good, but they also needed to be alive to enjoy it. Ning Cheng brought out a flying sword. After stepping on the flying sword, he did not immediately leave, but instead spoke in a clear voice. You go and tell the person who issued the warrant that I killed Sun Shan, and that I will be back in a few years. But I will come back to kill him. Saying that, in front of the eyes of the crowd, Ning Cheng disappeared without a trace. No one dared to chase after him. Chapter 74. In less than an hour, Ning Cheng arrived at the edge of the Thunderfall Desert. In front of his eyes was a dark yellow haze. It was as if there was a layer of yellow fog in front of him. His eyes could not see far. At the edge of the desert there was a huge boulder with a radius of 100 feet. This boulder was the entrance marked on the simple map that Ning Cheng had obtained. Ning Cheng did not hesitate, and directly stepped on his flying sword and rushed into the desert. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng had no choice but to land his flying sword. Even if he had the cultivation of true condensation realm, the violent sandstorm in the Thunderfall Desert made it impossible for him to control the position of his flying sword. Similarly, he was also unable to find a specific map mark in the desert. Ning Cheng put away his flying sword, and instead sped up his pace. He had said that he would come back in the future to kill the person who wanted him, but at the moment he was far from being the opponent of this person. The faster he escaped the better. 3 days later, Ning Cheng found the second mark on the simple map. It was a dead poplar tree. Ning Cheng went to a huge poplar tree root and sat down. After running for 3 consecutive days in the desert, he also felt a little tired. Ning Cheng had just sat down when a terrible whistling sound came. Ning Cheng quickly stood up again. A yellow dragon composed of fine sand rushed over. Its speed was incomparably fast. Ning Cheng did not even have the leeway to resist, as he was directly swept away by the yellow dragon, and at the same time was sent flying by the yellow dragon. At this moment Ning Cheng could only sigh in his heart at the crazy and terrifying nature. If he was an ordinary person, then he would have been directly swept to pieces by this yellow dragon. Ning Cheng soon felt that something was wrong. This yellow dragon that was composed of yellow sand was like a tornado. After he was swept away by the yellow sand, it seemed as if his whole body was being swept away in a certain direction. Because he felt that something was wrong, Ning Cheng remembered that he was already a cultivator at true condensation first level. A cultivator at true condensation first level should not be swept away by the yellow sand in the desert, right? As the yellow sand became more and more binding on him, the bad feeling in Ning Cheng's heart also became heavier and heavier. He had an intuition in his heart that in the end he would not even have the leeway to break free, and would be swept away to a place that he did not know. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng became anxious, and immediately punched out. This fist was the move that he had comprehended from the great axe's killing intent in the Dawn Forest. He did not have an axe, so he directly punched out with his fist. It turned out that the few times he used this fist axe, the effects seemed to be good. Bang! A sound similar to the explosion of leather resounded. Ning Cheng's fist directly blasted open a sand hole in the middle of the yellow dragon. Ning Cheng did not even think about it, as his entire body turned into a straight line as he passed through this sand hole. In the next moment, the yellow sand dragon had already disappeared into the distance with a rumbling sound. When Ning Cheng looked down, he discovered that other than the set of armor that the old woman from the Nanyuan city had helped him to refine, The rest of the clothes on his body had completely disappeared. There were only countless scratches from the sand. So powerful! Ning Cheng exclaimed to himself, as he quickly took out a set of clothes and put it on. The Thunderfall Desert also had this kind of terrifying yellow dragon. If he did not come out of the yellow dragon in time, then what would the result be? At this time when the yellow dragon passed by, Ning Cheng found that he had already lost his way. Ning Cheng looked all around, and just wanted to see the specific location of the populous poplar tree. When he felt the ground loosening under his feet, he subconsciously flew up. At the place where he had just been standing, there appeared a huge whirlpool. This whirlpool sucked in all the sand around it, forming a funnel shape. An incomparably powerful suction force came. This force was very abrupt, and almost sucked Ning Cheng into the funnel whirlpool. Ning Cheng forcibly revolved his true essence. His whole body was like a sword, as he rushed towards the sand outside the whirlpool. After a few breaths, Ning Cheng landed on the sand, looking at the whirlpool in the distance that was getting bigger and bigger. This was the first time that he felt the terror of the Thunderfall Desert. If he was sucked into this whirlpool, then perhaps it would not take his life, but who knew what was inside this whirlpool? It seemed that he had to find the route that he had taken before, otherwise it would be very difficult for him to get out of the Thunderfall Desert. The route that he had taken before was certainly the safest route in the desert, otherwise he would not have met with danger for several consecutive days. Now that he had deviated from the original route that he had taken, he had encountered danger several times. If not for the passing yellow dragon taking him away, he should not have deviated from the original route. Ning Cheng was walking more and more carefully. At this time he was not looking for a way to reach the Hua continent, but rather to find the route that he had originally taken. Another 5 days passed by. Ning Cheng encountered more than a dozen different kinds of sand and stone whirlpools, but he was able to escape from them. Fortunately, he did not encounter that kind of sand and stone whirlpool a second time. Ning Cheng knew that this was not the way to go. If he continued like this, then sooner or later he would fall in this Thunderfall Desert. He stopped, although he did not know how to refine a positional array disk, but he could make a simple compass. Ning Cheng's compass had not yet been completed, when Ning Cheng detected a fishy smell in the air. Ning Cheng immediately grabbed the broken spear from behind. This fishy smell was definitely the smell of a monstrous beast. He knew that there were many monstrous beasts in the Thunder Sea Desert. Moreover, these monstrous beasts were in groups. Once he was surrounded by them, it would be difficult for him to escape. Sure enough, Ning Cheng had just grabbed the spear in his hands, when a cha-cha sound of grinding could be heard. When Ning Cheng saw the monstrous beasts in front of him, he almost froze. Countless monstrous beasts blotted out the sky as they rushed towards him. These monstrous beasts were so densely packed that he could not even see the end of them. Moreover, these monstrous beasts were rushing towards him in a three-dimensional formation. Not only were there some on the ground, there were even some that were flying in the air. Ning Cheng could imagine that there were also similar monstrous beasts under the sand and stones. These monstrous beasts were covered with sarcomas of different sizes, and looked to be only a foot long. Their sharp mouths were dripping with some turbid mucus. They looked extremely ugly and terrible. After the densely packed monstrous beasts saw Ning Cheng, they immediately swarmed towards him. Ning Cheng's scalp tingled. He had never seen such a disgusting scene before. He did not dare to hesitate for even half a moment. The spear in his hands immediately shot out a spear light. These spear lights formed a spear net, blocking the countless ugly monstrous beasts outside the spear net. There was an advantage to fighting with these monstrous beasts. That is, you only need to display your most powerful strength. You do not need to worry about being schemed against. A bloody mist spread out in front of the spear lights. As Ning Cheng's spear lights swept and killed these monstrous beasts, Ning Cheng could clearly see that the corpses of these monstrous beasts that he had killed were instantly devoured by their companions, and then the rest of the monstrous beasts continued to swarm towards him, as if they did not know what death was. The cultivation of these monstrous beasts was indeed not high, but even if it was not high, it would not be able to withstand such a large number. Batches after batches of monstrous beasts were killed by Ning Cheng, but batches after batches of the same monstrous beasts once again swarmed towards him. Not only that, these sand monstrous beasts also spewed out an unpleasant smell. As soon as Ning Cheng smelled this smell, he immediately felt uncomfortable. But fortunately, with the agitation of his true essence, this discomfort soon disappeared without a trace. For the entire day, Ningcheng spent his time in the midst of killing. His 12 profound ice spear technique derived the 13th spear technique, the 14th spear technique, the 21st spear technique. Unfortunately, even if his spear techniques were getting more and more proficient, and the number of spear lights derived from it was also getting more and more, but his true essence was simply unable to keep up. He did not know how many of these sand monstrous beasts he had killed, but the number of monstrous beasts he had to face not only did not decrease, but instead increased. Ningcheng's heart was filled with despair. If he had known that this would happen, then he would have rather been swept away by that yellow dragon. The situation in front of him, for him, was simply a dilemma. He simply had no way to get out of it. Whether it was in the air, on the surface of the sand, or under the sand, there were endless sand monstrous beasts. Just when Ningcheng was thinking about whether the mysterious yellow bead within his body could help him or not, the seemingly endless monstrous beasts in the desert suddenly gave up on continuing to attack Ningcheng. Instead crazily fled from Ningcheng's side. In just a short period of time, the densely packed monstrous beasts in the desert had completely disappeared. If not for the fine sand in the vicinity being dyed dark red, Ningcheng would have thought that the scene from a moment ago was just an illusion. My luck is not that good, right? Ningcheng could not believe it as he muttered to himself, just when he was about to be killed by these sand monstrous beasts. These sand monstrous beasts suddenly inexplicably retreated. If this was not good luck, then what was it? Chapter 75. Ningcheng did not believe that his luck was really that good. He was not even able to figure out what was going on, when an explosion resounded above his head, followed by a large amount of lightning falling down. This large amount of lightning fell not far in front of Ningcheng. The yellow sand where the lightning fell instantly turned into nothingness, as a huge whirlpool appeared out of thin air. The surrounding yellow sand at this moment fell into this whirlpool, causing the whirlpool to grow bigger and bigger. This kind of terrible suction force, even Ningcheng could feel it. Ningcheng, at this moment, came to understand. These sand monstrous beasts knew that the lightning was coming, so they immediately fled. Once these lightning fell on those monstrous beasts, there was simply no need to ask. He knew that those monstrous beasts would immediately turn into nothingness. At this moment, Ningcheng could not continue to stay in the same place. He immediately rushed out and followed the direction of those sand monstrous beasts. Ningcheng had just left, when the place where he was standing, another large amount of lightning fell down. This large amount of lightning instantly turned the place where he was standing into dust. The whirlpool in the sand directly connected with the place where he was standing, as it grew bigger and bigger. This kind of formidable might, not to say that he had the cultivation of true condensation realm. Even if he had the cultivation of essence building realm, if he was swept by this lightning, he would only be able to wait for death. Ningcheng almost mobilized all of his speed, as he rushed forward in a line of yellow sand. The third lightning fell down. This lightning was still a few feet away from Ningcheng, but the aftermath of the lightning was enough to turn the clothes that Ningcheng had just changed into dust. As the third lightning fell down, the lightning became more and more concentrated, and seemed to be getting closer and closer. Ningcheng, who was running all the way, finally understood the pattern of these lightning, although the lightning was huge, but all of them were in a straight line. When Ningcheng tried to escape, he no longer followed a straight line, but consciously tried to escape diagonally. Boom boom, sounds constantly resounded from behind Ningcheng. As Ningcheng escaped all the way, there were constantly pits in the sand. Fortunately, Ningcheng was already experienced in this, although these sand pits and whirlpools appeared abruptly, but they were not able to bring him in. What really made him dread was the terrifying lightning that was coming from behind him. After half a day, Ningcheng felt that the sound of the thunder behind him was getting smaller and smaller, before it finally disappeared in another direction. Ningcheng stopped, as he continued to gasp for breath and spoke to himself. So this is how the Thunderfall Desert came to be. The most terrible thing in this place is actually this kind of thunder. Ningcheng had just breathed a sigh of relief when a loud whistle whistled through the air, followed by a white light rushing out from the distant horizon. Someone. Ningcheng quickly determined that these whistling sounds were man-made. At this point of time, he had already lost his way in the Thunderfall Desert, so when he saw someone, how could he possibly miss them? He immediately rushed towards the place where the white light was coming from. Half an hour later, Ningqing appeared on the periphery of this place. At the same time, he also determined that there were indeed people in this place. Not only were there people, but there were also buildings that looked like Mongolian yurts. Inside these Mongolian yurts, there was a large expanse of green, and even an incomparably clear lake. There were several soldiers standing guard around this temporary building. In Ningqing's view, the cultivation of these guards were extremely poor. The highest among them was only an ordinary martial artist. Moreover, there was not even a trace of chi fluctuations coming from their bodies. At most, there was only a bit of fierce murderous aura. This place is so dangerous. How did these people get here? Ningqing was getting more and more surprised in his heart. In this place, even if one's cultivation was a bit poor, they would still be swallowed up by the desert at any time, but he actually found these guards who did not have any cultivation at all. Ningqing rubbed his eyes. He almost thought that he was seeing things. Ningqing decided to go and take a look. In the shortest possible time, he took off the tattered clothes on his body and used the dust removal method to wash himself, and then put on a clean set of clothes, and then carried the spear on his back. Then he slowly walked towards the Mongolian yurt-like place, while at the same time he concealed his cultivation at Qi Gathering 7th level. The cultivations of these people were not high. Some of them did not even have any cultivation. He did not want to stand out too much. Ningqing had just approached the Mongolian yurt-like area, when two soldiers who were guarding the place saw Ningqing, and immediately came over. "Excuse me, two friends, I am lost in this place. I am thirsty and hungry. I would like to borrow a place to rest for a while." Ningqing did not wait for the two soldiers to speak, as he first came forward and politely cupped his fists in greeting. The two soldiers looked at Ningqing from head to toe. Ningqing did not look like a thirsty and hungry person. On the contrary, he looked more like a neighbor who came to visit. One of the soldiers winked at the other person. After the other person saw the winking, he quickly turned around and left. After the other person left, the soldier said to Ningqing, "Please stay, this is the royal carriage of our king. If you want to go in, you must first get a report." Ningqing looked at the soldier's expression and knew that things were not as simple as what the other party had said. He casually said, "Oh, in that case, I will change to another place to rest." Saying that, Ningqing turned around to leave. When the soldier saw that Ningqing was about to leave, he quickly stopped in front of Ningqing and said, "My friend, please stop. Before we figure out your origin, you cannot leave this place." Ningqing raised an eyebrow and said, "What's wrong? Do you think this place belongs to you? I am just passing through here. Not only do you not give me water to drink, but you also want to rob me?" The soldier who stopped Ningqing was just about to speak, when he heard a deep and resounding voice. The king said, "Since you have come, then come in." When Ningqing heard this voice, he immediately understood that the person who spoke was at least at true condensation 3rd level, indicating that the appearance of these yurts in this place was not a simple matter. "Yes." The soldier respectfully replied, and then turned to Ningqing and politely said, "My friend, please follow me. Lead the way." Ningqing did not intend to leave, he just wanted to ask about the route. If he did not ask about the correct route, then it was very likely that he would fall in this Thunderfall Desert. These people dared to arrange so many temporary yurts in this place. Moreover, they also knew that there was a desert oasis here, so the probability of them knowing the correct route was more than 90%. This kind of opportunity, how could Ningqing let it go? After entering the range of these yurts, Ningqing discovered that these yurts were arranged in a unique position, forming a defensive array formation, which just surrounded the oasis in the middle. And next to the oasis, there was a particularly large yurt. The soldier led Ningqing to the entrance of the largest yurt, and said to Ningqing, "The master has summoned you. You can go in." Ningqing used his spiritual consciousness to sweep a few meters around him, but did not find any abnormalities, and then slowly walked in. This yurt was very large. Ningqing felt as if he had entered a large auditorium. The area was at least a few hundred square meters. At the top sat a long-haired barefooted young girl. This young girl seemed to be very weak and incomparably beautiful. The only thing that made people uncomfortable was that her eyes were slightly triangular, which did not match her soft and beautiful face. In Ning Cheng's view, she did not have any true essence fluctuations, so she should have never cultivated. But the feeling that this young girl gave Ning Cheng was very strange. On both sides of this young girl stood a man and a woman. The woman had a rough face, and was extremely valiant. Ning Cheng could see that her cultivation level was the great circle of qi gathering 9th level. On the other side was a man with soft skin, just like a pretty boy, but his cultivation level was already at true condensation 3rd level. Further down, there were 2 rows of guards on the left and right. Their cultivations were basically at qi gathering 9th level. In addition to this, in the corner of the hall, there were 3 cultivators hanging with ropes, 2 men and 1 woman. What made Ning Cheng surprised was that these 3 cultivators had the cultivation of true condensation realm, but the 3 of them did not even have the slightest ability to resist. Their heads were hanging down, and the circulation of the true essence in their bodies seemed to be incomparably sluggish. There were several soldiers holding whips in their hands standing beside the 3 people. From the scars on the bodies of the 3 people, it could be seen that their injuries were caused by these soldiers. The most miserable one was the female cultivator. She was already at true condensation 2nd level. Her clothes were torn apart, revealing her white skin. But this white skin was also riddled with scars. This whiteness could only be vaguely seen from these scars. These 3 people were obviously still breathing. When they heard the sound of Ning Cheng coming in, they raised their heads together and looked at Ning Cheng in puzzlement. A very strange smell came. Ning Cheng felt that this smell was very strange. It was similar to the smell that he had smelled when he was fighting with the group of monstrous beasts in the desert. This kind of smell made him extremely uncomfortable, but fortunately with the circulation of his true essence, this smell quickly dissipated. "Master, this is the person who broke into the king's carriage forbidden area." When the soldier who had rushed back saw Ning Cheng come in, he quickly came forward and knelt down. The woman who was addressed as master waved her hand and said, "I know, you can go out now." After the soldier went out, the young girl looked up and down at Ning Cheng, who was not even half a bit nervous. Ning Cheng's clothes were incomparably clean, and he was carrying a wrapped spear on his back. It was as if he was just taking a stroll here. Even standing there was not even a shred of uneasiness. The young girl frowned and slowly asked, "Who are you? Why did you break into my North Jew tribe's encampment?" North Jew tribe? Ning Cheng did not know what kind of place North Jew tribe was. He came here to ask about the correct route to the Hua continent. Hearing these words, he quickly cupped his fists and politely said, "My name is Ning Xiaocheng. I was just passing by. It really is a misunderstanding." The qi-gathering 9th level sturdy-looking woman who was standing next to the young girl suddenly shouted at Ning Cheng, "Beast, in front of the king, why are you not kneeling down before me?" Ning Cheng's face sank. He had come here to ask questions, not to beg for mercy. In Ning Cheng's dictionary, there was no such thing as begging for mercy. Ning Cheng suddenly took a few steps forward. When all the people thought that he was going to speak, Ning Cheng suddenly took a step forward, and in a blink of an eye arrived in front of the sturdy-looking woman, as he raised his hands and slapped her twice. "Papa." 2 clear and crisp sounds resounded. When everyone saw Ning Cheng once again return to his original position, the sturdy-looking woman who had cursed at Ning Cheng had 2 purplish-red palm marks on her face. Chapter 76. There were nearly 20 people in the room, but only one of them reacted to Ning Cheng's attack. It was the true condensation 3rd level man who was standing on the other side of the young girl. But although he was the first one to react to Ning Cheng's slap, but he did not get up to stop it. When Ning Cheng was about to slap the fierce-looking woman, he was already prepared to wait for the true condensation realm man to get up to stop him. Once the true condensation realm man got up to stop him, he would immediately use his axe fist to chop out, and then slap the fierce-looking woman. He did not expect that the true condensation realm man would not stop him, which made Ning Cheng a little surprised. But then Ning Cheng came to understand. This person should have some kind of grudge with the fierce-looking woman. Seeing a passerby daring to hit a person in front of the king. Moreover, the one who was hit was the king's most favored bodyguard. The people in the room were shocked. The 3 cultivators who were hung up looked at Ning Cheng in surprise. They did not know where Ning Cheng got such courage from. "You are courting death. The fierce-looking woman did not think that Ningcheng would dare to hit her, and immediately became angry. Her whole body was burning with anger, and looked like she was about to rush towards Ningcheng. The young girl who was sitting in the middle immediately stopped her, and the fierce-looking woman immediately calmed down. She stared at Ningcheng with anger in her eyes, but she did not rush towards Ningcheng again. The young girl stared at Ningcheng a few more times, and then said in a cold voice, "Don't tell me that you think you have some skills, and come to my North Jew tribe to teach people a lesson? My North Jew tribe has always been hospitable. We invited you here as a guest, but not for you to show off your strength." Saying that, she pointed to the 3 cultivators who were hung up and said, "Do you know why they are hung up? Because they came to my North Jew tribe to show off their strength. Bah! If you do not use underhanded means, then you are just a fart. What North Jew tribe? This father can kill all of you by himself." A male cultivator who was hung up spat, and said with disdain, "Oh, since that is the case, then I will put you down, and then let's have a spar. Let's see if you really are as powerful as you say." The man at True Condensation 3rd level finally spoke out in an indifferent manner. When the male cultivator who was hung up heard the words of the man at True Condensation 3rd level, he immediately shut his mouth. It was obvious that he had suffered a loss in the hands of the opposite party. Thinking that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, Ningcheng laughed and said, "So it turned out to be a sneak attack, ah? I was just wondering how these trash were able to catch 3 experts." "You haven't answered my question." The murderous aura in the young girl's eyes was getting more and more intense. The people around them did not know why their king was so patient this time, and had not even spoken out against Ningcheng. Ningcheng suddenly took a few steps forward. When the man at the True Condensation 3rd level saw Ningcheng walking towards their king, he quickly took a step forward, and blocked Ningcheng's path, while at the same time his entire body was shrouded in an evil qi. As long as the young girl gave the word, he could immediately start at any time. Ningcheng stopped, as he stared at the girl and spoke, "Guest? I've been standing here for a long time. Why haven't I seen a cup of tea? Why didn't he see a chair? Instead, the dog barked a few times. Bad luck, bad luck." Saying that, Ningcheng clapped his hands, as if he really wanted to slap away the bad luck in his hands. "Kill him." The girl finally couldn't hold back her anger, and coldly spat out 2 words. The 8 Qi gathering 9th level cultivators on both sides immediately swarmed forward. They had long been waiting for their master to say these 2 words. Now that they heard it, how could they be even half a bit slow? Ningcheng did not even take out the long spear on his back. He was only at the True Condensation 1st level. If he needed to use an artifact to deal with several Qi gathering 9th level cultivators, then it would simply be a joke. Almost at the same time, he blasted out 4 fists. Or it should be said that he had blasted out 4 fists, 4 axe fists in succession. The 4 axe fists looked like they came one after the other, but when they were really swept out, it was as if they came out at the same time. A violent and intense killing intent instantly enveloped the entire room. The complexion of the man at the True Condensation 3rd level changed. He could see the killing intent of the great axe in Ningcheng's fist shadows. Ningcheng was obviously unarmed, but he seemed to have seen several axe shadows chopping out. This person was definitely a strong opponent. The man at the True Condensation 3rd level waved his hand, and an octagonal hammer-type artifact appeared in his hands. Not waiting for him to come forward, he heard puff puff for consecutive sounds. Out of the 8 Qi gathering 9th level cultivators who had rushed towards Ningcheng, 4 of them had already fallen to the ground. The other 4 people stared blankly at the 4 corpses lying on the ground in a pool of blood. Their faces were pale, and did not dare to come forward. The complexion of the young girl who had fallen to the ground also changed, and immediately stood up. Ningcheng found that when this young girl stood up, she was unexpectedly not shorter than him. "Hey, there was the poisonous gas of the poisonous sand beast. How come you were not affected by it?" A male cultivator who was hung up in the air called out in surprise. "What is the poisonous gas of the poisonous sand beast?" Ningcheng asked in a puzzled voice. He seemed to have smelt some strange unpleasant odor before, but under the circulation of his true essence, this unpleasant odor immediately disappeared. Could it be that this was the poisonous gas of the sand-poison sharp-fanged beasts? The poisonous sand beast is one of the most terrible monstrous beasts in the Thunderfall Desert. This kind of sand monstrous beasts generally live in groups. Moreover, they hide the sky and cover the earth as they move around the desert. Their mouths are filled with mucus, and their whole body is covered with sarcomas of different sizes, and looks to be only a foot long. When you see this kind of monstrous beast, you must immediately escape. Otherwise you can only wait for your death. The sarcomas on the body of these monstrous beasts contain a highly toxic gas. Once you kill this monstrous beast, this highly toxic gas will be released. After a cultivator smells it, their whole body will become weak and powerless, and they will not be able to use their true essence. These monstrous beasts of North Jew tribe collect this kind of poisonous gas, because we were careless and fell into their trap. Otherwise, with just a few trifling chi-gathering cultivators, this father would have already chopped them to pieces. This male cultivator said with hatred in his voice. The man at the true condensation third level suddenly whispered in the young girl's ear. My king, this person is most likely to have taken the antidote. This antidote should be specifically used to counter the poisonous gas of the poisonous sand beast. Perhaps it might even be the desert geocentric spring tea. Looking at this person's strong killing intent, he is absolutely not simple, and should not be any worse than me. The young girl's face had already changed, but at this moment she calmed down, and said to the other people, clean up, and give young Master Ning a seat. My king. That sturdy-looking woman was eager to speak, but the young girl just waved her hand, and immediately stopped her from speaking. The few guards were very fast, and in the shortest time possible, they had already cleaned up the room. Not even a single trace of blood could be seen. Take these 3 people away first. My North Jew tribe will have to receive some distinguished guests. The young girl casually pointed to the 2 men and the woman who were hung up and said, not waiting for the few guards to take away the 3 people. Ningqing suddenly raised his hand and shot out a few wind edges. The 3 cultivators who were hung up were immediately put down by Ningqing. Ningqing casually shot out a few more wind edges, and the ropes binding them were completely broken. Haha, these few friends look somewhat familiar to me. I will have to talk about old times with them. Ningqing did not care about the attitude of the young girl. Many thanks to this friend for saving us, but we were all poisoned by the poisonous gas of the poisonous sand beast, and are unable to condense our true essence, so there is no way for us to help you. The 3 people separately came over to Ningqing to express their gratitude. Ningqing raised his hand and grabbed a few chairs. Everyone please sit down. My hometown has a saying, the enemy of my enemy. No, within the 4 seas we are all brothers, there is no need to be polite. Well said. Within the 4 seas we are all brothers. The thin true condensation cultivator among the 3 people clapped his hands, indicating that he agreed with Ningqing's words. Clap clap. The face of the young queen at this time did not have even half a shred of anger, as she clapped her hands and said with a smile, what young Master Ning said is very good. Within the 4 seas we are all brothers. Mei Su, you go and prepare some good wine, for today we are able to meet such a capable person like young Master Ning. The woman who was slapped twice by Ningqing, when she heard these words, quickly bowed and said, yes, your majesty. Saying that, she quickly turned around and walked out. Ningqing sneered in his heart. This woman called Mei Su had a storage bag on her. How could she not have some good wine? This woman went out. She was definitely going to arrange some means to trap him here. But Ningqing was not afraid. When he came here he already knew that there were no powerful people in this place. Even if it was an array formation formed by a Mongolian yurt, in his eyes it was just an ordinary array formation. The most powerful true condensation third-level cultivator was now in front of him. He was not worried about being plotted against. This little sister, I have a request. I just met these 3 friends, but these 3 friends have been poisoned by the poisonous gas of the poisonous sand sharp-fanged beasts. I see that this little sister has a kind heart. Why don't you take out a little antidote for my 3 friends to detoxify them? Ningqing cupped his fists towards the king, and said with a smile. Hearing Ningqing call their king little sister, the guards in the room were incomparably angry. The eyes of the young queen flashed with anger and killing intent, and then she said with an apologetic smile, the poisonous gas of the poisonous sand sharp-fanged beasts needs the desert geocentric spring tea to detoxify them. It would be best to take it in advance. The desert geocentric spring tea is a rare treasure. It is priceless. My North Jew tribe is just a small tribe. How could we have such a precious thing? The reason why we are not poisoned is because we are in contact with this poisonous gas all year round and are already used to it. Since young Master Ning is not afraid of this poisonous gas, then presumably you have the desert geocentric spring tea. If Brother Ning is willing to take out this desert geocentric spring tea, my North Jew tribe is willing to buy it at a high price. This woman not only said that they did not have this spiritual tea, but also blocked Ning Cheng's question about how they were fine. Not to mention these, she also provoked the relationship between Ning Cheng and the 3 people that he had just saved. Her meaning was that you are not poisoned, obviously you have the antidote. You keep saying that within the 4 seas we are all brothers. How come I don't see you taking out the antidote? How could Ning Cheng not know the meaning of this woman? He was just about to speak, when he heard the female cultivator that he had just saved open her mouth and say, "Elder Brother Ning, my clothes are torn, please." When Ning Cheng heard these words, he immediately understood what she meant. He secretly cursed himself for being careless, and turned to look at the young queen. When the young girl saw Ning Cheng looking at her, she quickly said to the maid beside her, "Quickly take these 3 guests to change their clothes. Do not neglect young Master Ning's friends." Chapter 77. After the banquet was served, the 3 people who went to change their clothes had already returned to their rooms. Although the 3 of them looked normal, but their true essence was scattered, it was clear that they were just an empty shell. Ning Cheng gave a chuckle and greeted the 3 of them first. When the 3 of them saw Ning Cheng greet them, they quickly came forward to thank him. Ning Cheng also knew the names of the 3 people. The one with a fiery temper, medium build, dark skin was a male cultivator called Lu Hongfang, and had the cultivation of true condensation 2nd level. The other male cultivator was called Huang Yuanbo, with slender eyes and fair skin, but only had the cultivation of true condensation 1st level. The woman was called Pei Shan. She looked somewhat quiet, she had an oval face, her eyes did not even have half a flicker, she seemed to be very opinionated. After the 3 of them sat down, Ning Cheng asked, "Are the 3 of you really poisoned by the poisonous gas of the poisonous sand beast?" Lu Hongfang glared at the young girl, and said in a low voice, "That's right, we were plotted against by this woman." "Is there a way to get rid of the poisonous gas?" Ning Cheng knew that these cultivators who walked in the desert all year round would have a variety of methods. Although he had no way to get rid of the poisonous gas, it did not mean that others would not be able to. Pei Shan might have injured her throat, as her voice was somewhat hoarse. When she heard Ning Cheng's words, she took the initiative to reply. "The poisonous gas of the poisonous sand beast is very difficult to get rid of." She did not lie about it, only the desert geocentric spring tea can detoxify it. Because the desert geocentric spring tea is very difficult to find, so once you meet a poisonous sand beast in the Thunderfall Desert, you will not fight, and will generally take the initiative to escape. Huang Yuanbo looked at the frowning Ning Cheng and said, "The amount of desert geocentric spring tea needed to detoxify the poisonous gas of the poisonous sand beast is not much, just a drop would be enough." Ning Cheng bowed his head and frowned. He was thinking about when he had drunk the desert geocentric spring tea. How could he not be afraid of the poisonous gas? And did not care about Huang Yuanbo's words. Lu Hongfang and Pei Shan also did not care about Huang Yuanbo's words. Only the young queen's mouth showed a hint of a smile. Apparently she knew that the seed that she had planted had already sprouted. At least this Huang Yuanbo thought that Ning Cheng had the geocentric spring tea. At this time Ning Cheng had already thought of the place where he had drunk the spiritual tea. It was at the Yishui courtyard, where Lu Hanyu had poured him a cup of spiritual tea. It was slightly bitter, but it immediately made people salivate, making people feel a bit nostalgic. Could it be that it was the desert geocentric spring tea? Lu Hanyu was just a destitute woman. How could she possibly have such a precious spirit tea? Could it be that Brother Ning is also passing through the Thunderfall Desert? Lu Hongfang's temperament was more direct, as he immediately interrupted Ning Cheng's thoughts. Exactly. Ning Cheng remembered what he had wanted to ask before. What was this North Jew tribe? He did not know, but Lu Hongfang and the other 2 people were definitely like him. They were definitely people who could pass through the desert. These people might also have a map. How did the 3 of you end up here? Could it be that you are also the same as me? and want to pass through the Thunderfall Desert to reach the Hua continent? Ningcheng also directly asked. When the young queen saw that these people did not even put her in their eyes, her complexion turned slightly ugly, but she soon recovered to normal. She took the initiative to take out the wine pot and poured a cup of wine for Ningcheng and said, "On behalf of the North Jew tribe, I would like to thank young Master Ning for coming to my North Jew tribe's encampment as a guest." When Lu Hongfang saw Ningcheng pick up the wine cup, his face immediately turned anxious. He was just about to speak, but Ningcheng had already drank the cup of wine. Ningcheng certainly knew that Lu Hongfang was afraid that the wine was poisoned, but now that the lives of the three of them were tied to his hands, it was normal for Lu Hongfang to be anxious. Ningcheng was now extremely careful, as he had already checked the cup of wine once. Seeing that Ningcheng was all right, Lu Hongfang felt relieved in his heart, and said aloud, "The three of us really wanted to go to the Hua continent. Originally there were 5 of us, but 2 of us fell on the way. Just a day ago, we inadvertently obtained a treasure map. The treasure map turned out to be the ruins of the Lani country that had disappeared countless of years ago in the Thunderfall Desert. The 3 of us were overjoyed and wanted to find the ruins of the Lani country, but did not think that we would be led here by these despicable people." Saying that, Lu Hongfang still had an angry look on his face as he stared at the young queen. The young queen said in a neither fast nor slow manner, "Young Master Ning, what Brother Lu said is indeed true. He had obtained the map from a trader of my North Jew tribe. This map is indeed the ruins of the Lani country, but you may not know this, but my North Jew tribe was once the Lani country. When the Lani country was destroyed, there were a few elders who protected the blood of the country and fled to the North Jew tribe, leaving behind my branch. Now that some people want to go to my Lani country to excavate the ruins, as the king of the North Jew tribe, how can I let the things of my Lani country fall into the hands of others? Not to mention that the treasure map that they obtained was also leaked out from my North Jew tribe." Lu Hongfang pointed at the young queen and laughed. "It was your North Jew tribe that leaked it out, Ba. Do you still have any face? Not to mention that the North Jew tribe was not something that was left behind by the Lani country. Even if it was, the Lani country does not have the right to say that it was theirs. The reason why the Lani country chose to establish their country in the desert was not because of the desert, but because the Lani country found the ruins of a sea-opening realm powerhouse in the desert. The Lani country, in order to find the ruins of the sea-opening realm powerhouse, chose to establish a country in the Thunderfall Desert. But they did not expect that the Lani country, after establishing their country in the desert, would instead promote the prosperity of the country. I do not know if they found the ruins of the sea-opening realm, but the Lani country is becoming more and more prosperous." Ningcheng really could not believe that a country could be established in the Thunderfall Desert. The Thunderfall Desert was a terrible place. He had personally experienced it. Seeing Ningcheng's doubts, Shi Peishan took the initiative and said, "Elder Brother Ning, what Elder Brother Lu said is true. The Lani country was established in the desert countless years ago. Originally the Lani country was established on the edge of the desert, but after many years of vicissitudes, the erosion of the Thunderfall Desert became more and more severe, causing the desert to become bigger and bigger. Originally the Lani country was established on the edge of the Thunderfall Desert, but after many years of vicissitudes, the erosion of the Thunderfall Desert became more and more severe, causing the desert to become bigger and bigger. Because of this, it led to the destruction of the Lani country." Huang Yuanbo, who rarely spoke, after listening to Shi Peishan's words, explained, "I heard that the Lani country was not destroyed because of the lightning in the Thunderfall Desert, but because the Lani country found the ruins of the sea-opening realm powerhouse, and as a result attracted many experts from all over the world. These powerful experts fought in the Lani country, and as a result caused the destruction of the entire Lani country. Later on in the Thunderfall Desert, the most powerful yellow dragon passed through, and all the cultivators who were fighting, as well as all the people from the Lani country disappeared. Because of this, the Lani country also disappeared in the vast sea of sand." Yellow dragon. When Ningcheng heard these 2 words, he immediately thought of the yellow sand that had swept him away. Afterwards he had used his fist axe filled with killing intent to break through the yellow sand, and only then was he able to escape. Lu Hongfang replied, "That's right, in the Thunderfall Desert, In addition to the fearful poisonous sand beasts, there is also the thunderfall yellow dragon. This kind of yellow dragon looks like a sand dragon that was formed by the sand. Once you are caught in it, it would be very difficult to escape, and would eventually be torn into pieces by the yellow dragon. This is only a small thunderfall yellow dragon. The biggest yellow dragon is said to be thousands of miles long. If you meet this kind of yellow dragon, then even if it was a country, I estimate that it would only be swallowed up. Ning Cheng understood that what had swept him away should be a small yellow dragon. If it was a big one, then perhaps he would not have been able to escape. What Ning Cheng was most interested in at this time was the immortal cave of a sea-opening realm cultivator. He was no longer a young boy who had just arrived here. He was very clear in his heart that the cultivation of a cultivator was the same as the competition in the business world. Once you discover a limited amount of resources, if you do not fight for them, then these resources would be snatched away by others, and you could only helplessly watch the other people continue to advance and leave you behind. In the I Ching mainland's 9 great realms, the sea-opening realm was just below the crucible transformation realm. Once you stepped into the crucible transformation realm, then according to the legends, you would be able to tear apart the heaven and earth and escape far away. Of course, this knowledge, Ning Cheng came to know from the mouth of Tai Shu Yi. When he came out from the Ping continent, he only knew that above the essence-building realm was the profound congealing realm, and above the profound congealing realm was the profound core realm. As for the realms after the profound core realm, he knew nothing about it. After arriving at the Yuan continent and talking with Tai Shu Yi, he came to know that after the profound core realm was the soul essence realm. After the soul essence realm was the soul sculpting realm. After passing through the soul sculpting realm was the sea opening realm. From this it could be seen that the immortal cave of a sea opening realm powerhouse was extremely precious. Lu Hongfang had said that the Lani True Country, in order to obtain a sea opening realm's immortal cave, had established a country in the Thunderfall Desert. Ning Cheng did not find it strange at all. Ning Cheng suddenly looked at the young queen and spoke. Your Majesty, I think that the secret map obtained by Brother Lu should be with you, right? Can you take it out and let me see what kind of secret map it is? The young queen's complexion slightly changed. She knew that Ning Cheng would want the map of the Lani country's ruins, but she did not think that Ning Cheng would be so straightforward. If Ning Cheng tried to beat around the bush, she would definitely come up with a variety of excuses. The man at the true condensation 3rd level who was standing next to the young queen laughed and said, Mr. Ning, our Wang Shangjing is a guest of our North Ju tribe. For you to come to our North Ju tribe encampment can be considered as a kind of fate. We entertain young Master Ning with good wine and good food, but young Master Ning actually dares to openly ask for my North Ju tribe's secret map. Could it be that you really think that my North Ju tribe is easy to bully? You have a map of the North Ju Empire? This map was obviously taken from me by you. And you still have the face to say that it is your North Ju kingdom's map? Lu Hongfang said in a sarcastic tone. At this moment, a burst of hurried footsteps rushed in. Ning Cheng was slightly puzzled in his heart, who had such a big courage, and dared to directly rush into the yurt of the North Ju tribe's king? The one who came in was a young man, with thick eyebrows and thin eyes, and a hooked nose which made his face look extremely unique. Ning Cheng could see at a glance that this young man's cultivation level was actually the highest here, with the cultivation level of true condensation 4th level. Xiao Xiao, this hooked-nosed man called out, but when he saw Ning Cheng and the others, he did not finish his words. Calling the North Ju tribe's king Xiao Xiao, it seems that the relationship between this hooked-nosed man and this king was not simple at all. Yes, we have found the secret map, so I sent a signal to call you over. The young queen called Xiao Xiao said with a smile. The hooked-nosed man's gaze fell on Ning Cheng and the others. He did not know who Ning Cheng and the others were, but Xiao Xiao unexpectedly directly spoke about the secret map in front of them. Chapter 78. Who are they? The aquiline-nosed man's eyes swept over Ning Cheng and the others. Xiao Xiao smiled and pointed at Ning Cheng and said, This is Ning Xiaocheng. Yu Xing said that this young Master Ning has an astonishing cultivation level. Even a true condensation cultivator would not be his opponent. Ning Cheng suddenly stood up and cupped his fists towards this hook-nosed man, and said with a smile, I have not yet asked this friend for your surname. North Ju's Peiguang He, Elder brother Ning is truly amazing. I would like to get closer to you in the future. The aquiline-nosed man cupped his fists towards Ningcheng with a fake smile on his face. Ningcheng did not wait for Xiao to speak again and continued. These three are my friends, and are also the ones who found the map of the ruins of the Lani country. However, they were accidentally poisoned by the poisonous gas of the poisonous sand beasts in the desert. King Xiao was about to help them detoxify the poison. Oh yes, I don't know if Brother Pei has any desert geocentric spring tea that can detoxify poison? If there is, that would be the best. Pei Guanghe did not take out the antidote because of Ning Cheng's abrupt words, but rather looked at Xiao with a puzzled gaze. Xiao did not directly give an answer, but let everyone sit down again, and then said, Lu Hongfang and the other two really did obtain the map of the ruins, and also gave it to me. But this map was lost by my North Jew tribe, so my idea is, since everyone has gathered together because of this map, why don't we go to the ruins together to look for it? Pei Guanghe's arrival made this young queen's heart calm down. No matter how powerful Ningcheng was, he was only a single person. Now that Pei Guanghe and Yu Xing were the two of them, they could definitely deal with Ningcheng. As for Pei Guanghe's strength, she was very clear about it. It was also because of this that she changed her mind. She might as well drag these people along to search for the ruins. Even if something were to happen, he could still find a few cannon fodder. Pei Guanghe and Xiao's eyes met, and immediately understood the thoughts of the young queen, as he laughed and said, That's right, there are many things in the ruins. We won't be able to take it. If we all go together, we'll be stronger. Just as he finished speaking, Mei Su, who had been sent out by the young girl, came in from the side. Mei Su whispered a few words into the young girl's ear. Xiao nodded and didn't express any opinion. As Ningcheng swept out with his spiritual sense, he found that within the range of his spiritual sense, many soldiers had appeared. Not only that, but he also set up some simple trapping arrays. Ningcheng found it funny in his heart. This was just a level 1 entrapment array, and they even dared to show off in front of him. Lu Hongfang suddenly said in a loud voice, If you want to go to the ruins together, then there is no problem, but first we need to get rid of the poison in our bodies. Pei Guanghe suddenly said, This is my negligence. I originally wanted to help you detoxify the poison as soon as I came in, but because we were talking about something else, I actually forgot. Even if the few of you do not want to go together with me, but since the few of you were able to find the map of my Lani country, I will definitely help you. While speaking, Pei Guanghe really took out 3 jade cups, then took out a gray gourd, and poured a little green tea into the 3 jade cups. 3 friends, please have the desert geocentric spring tea. Hearing Pei Guanghe say that this was geocentric spring tea, Lu Hongfang was the first to pick up the cup and drink it in one gulp. Seeing Lu Hongfang drink his tea, Huang Yuanbo and Shi Peishan also drank their tea without hesitation. After a moment, Lu Hongfang laughed and said, Thank you, Brother Pei, the poison in my body has really been cured. Count me Lu Hongfang in the ruins, I will not shrink back. Huang Yuanbo also cupped his fist towards Pei Guanghe to show his gratitude. Only Shi Peishan did not thank Pei Guanghe, but cupped her fists towards Ningcheng and said, Thank you, Brother Ning, for saving our lives. Lu Hongfang, on hearing Shi Peishan's words, patted his head and said, It was my fault, I should thank Brother Ning. Saying that, he also expressed his gratitude towards Ningcheng. Huang Yuanbo, on seeing this, also expressed his gratitude towards Ningcheng. But Ningcheng felt that Huang Yuanbo's gratitude was somewhat perfunctory, although Lu Hongfang did not think of it in the first place, but his gratitude towards him was quite sincere. Good, the poison in the 3 of you has been cured. I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Now let's discuss how to go to the ruins of the Lani country. The young queen seemed to be really relieved, as she stood up and said. Saying that, she once again put a leather scroll into the hands of Pei Guanghe. That is the map. Shi Peishan, on seeing this, whispered a few words in Ningcheng's ear. Pei Guanghe seemed to have heard Shi Peishan's words, as he glanced at the map once, and then handed it to Ningcheng. Brother Ning, would you like me to put this map in your hands? Ningcheng took the map and also casually glanced at it, and once again returned the map and said, Brother Pei is the owner. This map of the ruins should be placed in the hands of Brother Pei. But Xiao Xiao looked at Ning Cheng with a puzzled expression. Ning Cheng had wanted this map before. Why did he suddenly not want the map? To say that Ning Cheng with just a glance was able to remember all the routes and contents of the map, she absolutely did not believe it. A cultivator could use their spiritual sense, so they could sweep the entire map with just a glance, but sweeping it once and remembering it completely were two different things. Why don't you put it in my hands? Lu Hongfang had a good impression of Ning Cheng, but he did not like Ning Cheng's way of doing things. Since other people have already given you the map, why would you refuse? All right. Pei Guang he did not hesitate to put the map in Lu Hongfang's hands, and simultaneously stood up and said to Xiao Xiao, Xiao Xiao, let's go now. If we know about this map of the ruins, and do not rush there in time, I am afraid that something unexpected will happen. Xiao Xiao showed a faint smile and said, What Guang he said is right, let's go now. There are 8 people, me and Guang he, plus Yuxing and Mei Su. Then young Master Ning and Brother Lu. This time this young queen finally called him Brother Lu, and did not continue to directly call him by his name. Since the map is in the hands of Brother Lu, then Brother Lu can lead the way. Pei Guang he said with a smile. No problem. Lu Hongfang directly took the lead and walked out of the room. The rest of the people followed him out, while Ning Cheng followed behind Pei Guang he. Perhaps it was because of the arrival of Pei Guang he, or perhaps it was because Ning Cheng and the others wanted to help them explore the ruins, but Xiao Xiao did not activate the entrapment array outside. After going out of the range of the yurts, Lu Hongfang sped up, and soon left the yurts and the oasis behind him. Ning Cheng and the others silently followed behind Lu Hongfang. Not a single one of them spoke. That young queen called Xiao Xiao unexpectedly did not ask for more people to follow her. Or perhaps she knew that even if there were more people, searching for the ruins would not be of much use. I do not know how far is the North Ju tribe from here? For the North Ju tribe to come here, did they already know that there is an oasis here? After the 8 people walked for nearly an hour, Ning Cheng took the initiative to break the silence. The young girl Xiao Xiao smiled and did not beat around the bush and directly said, The North Ju tribe is only known to the people of my North Ju tribe. If young Master Ning wants to go to my North Ju tribe, then you can also join my North Ju tribe. Ning Cheng said unhurriedly, Joining the North Ju tribe is not a problem, but I have a matter to ask Queen Xiao Xiao. I do not know if your clan has a map to the Hua continent. This time Xiao Xiao did not even think for half a moment, and bluntly said, I do not. Shi Pei Shan, who was walking beside Ning Cheng, said, Brother Ning, the map to the Thunderfall Desert is something that very few people would have. But when walking in the Thunderfall Desert, there is a rule, and that is that there are often desert whirlpools in the Thunderfall Desert. These desert whirlpools will often swirl the yellow sand in a certain direction. As long as you walk in that direction, you will be able to walk in it. Many thanks. Ning Cheng thanked Shi Pei Shan, and did not speak anymore. Since they did not agree with each other, it would be useless to say anything more. After an hour passed by, Lu Hongfang stopped. He pointed to a huge sand pit in front of him and said, We're here, it's right here. Ning Cheng had looked at the map once, and already knew how to go to the ruins. According to the marks on the map, when they arrived at the entrance to the ruins, they would see a huge sand pit. At night, when the moonlight shines on the sand pit, there would appear 3 overlapping moon shadows. From these 3 overlapping moon shadows, one would be able to find the entrance to the ruins of the Lani country. There were many sand pits in the desert, but most of the sand pits would be filled with sand and stones after a period of time. Since the map of the ruins did not say that the sand pit would be filled with sand and stones, it showed that the sand pit would not disappear for no reason. Now that there really was a sand pit here, it showed that the map was real. Now before the moonlight appears, there is still about an hour left. I suggest that everyone take a look at the map. Huang Yuanbo suddenly said. The few people from the North Ju tribe had already seen the map, but they simply looked at it, and made this suggestion. Of course. Lu Hongfang took the initiative to hand the map to Huang Yuanbo, and did not even ask for Xiao Xiao's opinion. Huang Yuanbo did not refuse, and repeatedly looked at the map several times, and then handed it to Shi Pei Shan. Shi Pei Shan looked at the map several times, and then handed it to Mei Su. Mei Su did not seem to want to give the map to Ning Cheng, and repeatedly looked at it in her hands. It was not until the moonlight rose that she seemed to remember that the map was still in her hands. Mei Su, give the map to Brother Lu. Brother Lu still has to lead the way. Xiao looked at Mei Su with some dissatisfaction. Mei Su seemed to suddenly understand. This map had been in her hands for too long, and quickly handed the map to Lu Hongfang. Lu Hongfang did not care about it, and just pointed to the sand pit where the 3 moon shadows overlapped and said, "I'll go down first, everyone just follow me." Saying that, he directly jumped to the place where the moon shadows overlapped. Lu Hongfang had just jumped to the place where the moon shadows overlapped, when he disappeared, but the place where the moon shadows overlapped was still there, and did not change even half a bit. It was as if Lu Hongfang had jumped into a pond, and had yet to emerge from it. Chapter 79. The Blue Sand City is indeed the capital city of the Lani country. Originally, the Lani country had a huge defensive array formation, but I did not think that after so many years the sand and stones were still unable to completely bury the Lani country. It can be seen that this huge defensive array formation is still working. Xiao looked at the Blue Sand City in front of her, and spoke in a faint voice. I think there is indeed something strange about this place. Everyone should be careful of each other. What does Brother Ning think? Pei Guang he looked at Ning Cheng and spoke. His meaning was very obvious. He did not want everyone to go back and look for Huang Yuanbo. Dry bones are everywhere in this place. What is there to make a fuss about? Mei Su, the woman who had been slapped twice by Ning Cheng, spoke with disdain. Mei Su took a step forward and disappeared from everyone's sight. Seeing Ning Cheng go in, Shi Peishan quickly followed him in. Huang Yuanbo glanced at the bloodstains on the ground, but did not feel surprised and followed them in. In terms of credibility, Pei Guanghe's words were more reasonable. But Ning Cheng felt that the words spoken by Pei Guanghe were not completely correct. If what Pei Guanghe said was true, then this place should be under the desert. No one came to the desert all year round, so it should be humid and musty. In fact, when he entered, he didn't smell any of these scents at all. There was even a slight breeze blowing past. Originally, the 8 of them were carefully walking on the street, each of them on guard, but when did Huang Yuanbo disappear, none of them knew. It seemed that Shi Peishan had ridiculed her, which made her very unhappy, so Mei Su said to the young girl Xiao, "Your Majesty, I will go in and have a look." After a while they suddenly heard Mei Su's surprised voice, "Magic tool? Ah, blood." This time, it was Mei Su who screamed. Everyone was attracted by Mei Su's scream. When they looked over, they realized why Mei Su was screaming. A large pool of blood flowed out from the bottom of a tightly shut door. In just a blink of an eye, the 5 people disappeared from Ning Cheng and Shi Peishan's eyes, just like drops of water falling into the sea. Dry bones. Shi Peishan, who had been walking beside Ning Cheng, suddenly called out. She happened to be stepping on a skull. Moreover, this skull was very sturdy. How could there be blood in an underground ruin like this? Even if there was, it would have dried up. How could there be such a large amount of water flowing out? Shi Peishan smiled. I'm not afraid of death. Since I'm looking for opportunities, I can't be afraid of death. I just think that following Brother Ning would give me a better chance. The vicissitudes of Blue Sand City could not be faked no matter what. This could only be seen through time. Ning Cheng also had some doubts, that the wind that he had felt before was just an illusion. The rest of them did not hesitate and jumped down one after another. Ning Cheng landed on top of the overlapping moon shadows, and immediately felt a huge whirlpool coming towards him. He simply did not need to use any earth escaping technique, as he was directly taken away by it. When Lu Hongfang heard Mei Su speak about artifacts, he immediately took a step inside. Pei Guanghe, Xiao, and Yuxing immediately followed. Lu Hongfang suddenly punched the tightly closed door. He felt a little oppressive. This kind of method could let his oppressive feeling be immediately blasted out. Isn't it just a little blood? What's the fuss? Shi Peishan suddenly said in a sarcastic tone. Apparently because Mei Su had ridiculed her before, she was extremely uncomfortable in her heart. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Lu Hongfang stopped in front of an ancient city gate. Half of the city wall had already collapsed. A few mottled words could be vaguely seen in the light of the clear light stone, Blue Sand City. Her voice had just fallen, when she heard a crash sound. A shop that looked like it was still intact immediately turned into powder. This street seemed to be endless. After an hour, the crowd followed the street and turned a few big corners, but the street still did not have an end. Whether it is true or not, since we are already here, we must go and have a look, Lu Hongfang said, and took the lead to walk along the passage. Since we are already here, why should we shrink back? I'll go in first, Lu Hongfang said, and took the lead to walk through the Blue Sand City's gate. This was definitely a transmission array. Ning Cheng had just thought of this when he stepped on the ground. This is the ruins of the Lani country. The Blue Sand City is the capital of the Lani country, Lu Hongfang said with a slightly excited tone. At a glance, one could not see the end of the passage, and it was more than 3 or 4 feet wide. On both sides of the passage were walls that could not be seen, and the walls were inlaid with a row of clear light stones that were already somewhat dim. Under their feet was a rugged and winding trail, which extended into the distance. After entering the city gate, a kind of rotten and withered aura hit them in the face, but the few of them were instead relieved. If this was the location of the ruins of the Lani country, then this kind of aura was definitely the aura of the ruins. Pei Guang, he said indifferently, this is not necessarily true. There are some desert faults in the depths of the desert. If the Blue Sand City is separated by these faults, then even if there is no defensive array formation, it would not be covered up by the sand and stones. It really is a very old place. Even a little sound can turn this shop into powder, Pei Guang, he said with a sigh. Ning Cheng was just about to speak when he heard a burst of rapid footsteps, and then he and Shi Peishan saw Huang Yuanbo rushing over. Huang Yuanbo's face was pale, and he looked incomparably flustered. After he saw Ning Cheng and Shi Peishan, he seemed to be relieved, and quickly came to the front, as he gasped for breath and said, "That was close. If I did not know a little about array formations, then I certainly would not have been able to come out." The blood that had flowed outside was flowing out from the foot of the wall of the main hall. These blood stains seemed to have formed into a never-ending stream. Ning Cheng wanted to use his spiritual sense to sweep inside, but found that after his spiritual sense entered the main hall, it immediately disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile and said, "Brother Pei's opinion is very good. Of course we will listen to Brother Pei's opinion." His words did not have even half a shred of intention to go back and look for Huang Yuanbo. Huang Yuanbo said with some fear, "I did not dare to step into an array formation, and wandered around inside for a long time, before I finally found the array entrance. Hey, where are the others?" The damaged materials of the shop were thrown everywhere on the streets, coupled with the falling yellow sand. It made the streets not look empty, but it was not crowded, rather it gave off a kind of strange desolation. This should not be the ruins of a real country. The ruins of a real country should not have such obvious artificial traces. Xiuxiu's true condensation realm bodyguard Yu Xing was the first to speak. Yu Xing was the second to walk in. The rest of the people did not hesitate, and entered the city gate one after another. Ning Cheng also entered the Blue Sand City's city gate. The few people did not speak again. The entire street was filled with only the sound of their footsteps. Along the way there were countless skeletons, but everyone was already used to it, and no one felt that something was wrong. "You be careful." After Xiuxiu exhorted, she did not stop Meisu's actions. The inside of the gate was gloomy. It seemed to have a gloomy and cold aura. After a while, everyone adapted to the light, and could clearly see the situation inside the gate. It was a main hall. The main hall was surrounded by many vague chairs. It seemed to be a place for a meeting. Going further inside, they could not see clearly. Shi Peishan did not understand why Ning Cheng suddenly asked about Huang Yuanbo. She slightly hesitated and said, "Huang Yuanbo is a disciple of the Yuan continent's Blue Flame 4-Star Academy. The reason why we want to pull him into our team is because he has a very good understanding of array formations. Although he does not talk much, but he is a good person." "Big sister Shi, why are you not going in?" Ning Cheng looked at Shi Peishan at his side and asked in a puzzled manner. Several people simultaneously landed in a place. Ning Cheng's eyes had already sized up the surroundings. Rather than saying that they were under the desert, it would be better to say that they were in a sealed passage. Squeak, a sound was heard, It seemed that the door was not opened by Lu Hongfang, but rather by him. Originally Lu Hongfang wanted to punch open the door, and then directly pass through it. Now that the door was squeaking, it actually made his heart beat like a drum. Ningqing suddenly changed the topic and asked, "How much do you know about Huang Yuanbo?" "What the hell is going on?" Shi Peishan quickly asked. He even suspected that Pei Guang he also understood this point, and his words just a moment ago were somewhat trying to cover it up. "Huang Yuanbo has disappeared." Shi Peishan, who was at Ningqing's side, suddenly exclaimed. Everyone immediately stopped. Only then did they discover that Huang Yuanbo had really disappeared. As the footsteps of the several people stepped on the street, the various strange things that were left on the street all turned into dust. "Everyone has entered the main hall, let's also go in." Ningqing pointed to the dark main hall in front of him and said. Saying that, he took the lead and walked into the main hall. Pei Guang he disapprovingly said, "Initially my North Ju country also had a few elders who were not implicated by the catastrophe of the Lani country, and later on a few elders must have come here. Maybe they found the ruins of the Lani country, but because they did not obtain anything else, they opened up this place so that the later generations could find the Lani country more easily. Otherwise, where did our map come from?" Ningqing frowned. He once again felt that something was wrong. This shop had turned into dust. It was very strange. It was reasonable to say that the smell of decay in this powder was even heavier, but in fact he was not even aware of this kind of smell of decay. Or rather, the smell of decay was still formed on the street. Chapter 80. After the Ningqing trio entered the main hall, they immediately saw the 5 people who were already in the main hall. Not only could they see them, but they could also see them very clearly. From the outside of the main hall looked dim. They did not expect that after entering the main hall, they would immediately be able to see the surrounding scene. "Brother Huang, you're all right, that's great." Lu Hongfang saw Huang Yuanbo also come in, and happily greeted him. Ningqing could clearly see, in the innermost part of the main hall, there was an altar table, and on the altar table were 3 artifacts. In the middle was a black ring, on the left was a very ordinary-looking flying sword, and on the right was a knife-shaped artifact. On the left and right sides of the altar table, there was a small door. "Why don't you take the artifacts here?" Shi Peishan looked at the 5 people who came in, and asked in a puzzled manner. Ningqing looked back. After entering the main hall, he could not see anything outside the main hall. "You can't take it. A moment ago I took it, and was almost seriously injured. There is an array formation in front of the altar table. Once you approach it, you will immediately be attacked by the array formation." "Oh yes, Brother Huang, you came at the right time. You are an array formation master. Can you take a look at how to break this array formation?" Lu Hongfang said as he looked at Huang Yuanbo. Huang Yuanbo shook his head. "My array formation level is limited. I can't see it." Ningqing could not see what kind of array formation it was, but he could see that it was not an altar table, but rather an altar. Pei Guang he looked at Ningqing and smiled and said, "Brother Ning, there is a small door on the left and right side of the altar table. Why don't the 8 of us divide into 2 groups and go through the small door? As for the artifacts on the altar table, no one will come in to take them." Ningqing immediately replied, "Of course, I will go through the door on the left. Whoever wants to come in with me can follow me." Saying that, Ningqing walked towards the small door on the left, and soon disappeared through the door. "I'll go with Brother Ning." Huang Yuanbo immediately followed Ningqing. Shi Peishan and Lu Hongfang, seeing this, also followed. Everyone did not need to say anything. The 8 people were clearly divided into 2 groups. "Xiao, this artifact is fake." Pei Guang he saw the 4 people enter the small door, and immediately said. Xiao nodded. Apparently she already knew that this artifact was fake. How could this be fake? If it's fake, why do you need to use a formation to control it? Mei Su asked in confusion. Pei Guang he sneered. Not only me and King Swan she can see that this artifact is fake, I think that Ning Xiaoqing should also be able to see that this artifact is fake. Mei Su froze for a moment and subconsciously said, "So that's how it is. Your Majesty, if those 4 people went in first, would they have taken away the good things? This is the ruins of our Lani country. If I do not let them in, then they absolutely will not be able to come in." Mei Su, you can rest assured. Let's go. Xiao Xiao calmly said. Pei Guanghe looked at Mei Su with pity. This place required a blood sacrifice to open. If Ning Cheng's group of 4 were to go together, then there would definitely be someone who would need to be used as a blood sacrifice. As for the 4 people on their side, of course, one of them would also need to be used as a blood sacrifice. Needless to say, the person to be sacrificed should be Mei Su. Yu Xing acted as if he didn't know anything and was still closely following Xiao Xiao. He was always paying attention to the surroundings. After Ning Cheng's group of 4 entered the small door, they found themselves in front of 6 dark passages. Moreover, no one knew which passage they should go through. Huang Yuanbo pointed to the second passage on the left and said, I know a few array formations. Looking at the layout of the surroundings, we should go through the second passage. Finished speaking, Huang Yuanbo took the lead and walked in. The Ningqing trio did not have any objections, and also followed. Elder brother Ning, I always felt that Xiao Xiao was not a good person. She not only detoxified the poison in the 3 of us, but also let us look for these ruins together. Is she really that good? At this moment there were only 4 people left in this dark passage. Shi Peishan finally said what she wanted to say. Huang Yuanbo also gave an sound, and came forward and said, I have had this suspicion for a long time, but I just could not find. Huang Yuanbo had only spoken half of his words, when his hand suddenly emitted a white light. This white light directly chopped towards Ning Cheng's waist. It was as fast as lightning. Almost at the same time, Ning Cheng also blasted out a punch. The strong killing intent of the axe fist went straight towards Huang Yuanbo's legs. This white light and the killing intent of the axe fist immediately filled the entire passage, causing the passage to shake with a rumbling sound. Bang! A muffled sound was heard. Huang Yuanbo's white light directly exploded on Ning Cheng's waist. It was followed by 2 sounds of blood spurting out. Ning Cheng's axe fist had already chopped on Huang Yuanbo's knees. Huang Yuanbo's legs immediately fell from his body. But when the white light fell on Ning Cheng's body, it did not have any effect. Lu Hongfang and Shi Peishan stared at Ning Cheng and Huang Yuanbo in shock. They did not understand what was going on. How did you know that I was going to sneak attack you? Huang Yuanbo's face was somewhat distorted as he shouted. You secretly left the team. When we were arranging the array formations on the way back, I already knew who you were going to plot against, but I did not think that you would plot against me. This kind of good person really cannot be. I saved your dog life, but you still want to kill me in return. Ningqing said in a cold voice. Huang Yuanbo said with a pale face. I really hate you. I should have sneak attacked your legs. He not only hated that he had sneak attacked the wrong place, but also hated that he should not have been so careless. If not for this Ning Xiaocheng sneak attacking his legs, he would have been able to fight with the opposite party. Who knew that this guy also had an artifact armor? If not for this artifact armor, he would have already cut off Ning Xiaocheng's waist. Ningqing calmly said, You have nothing to hate, because I would only let you sneak attack my waist. The implication was, if he did not let you sneak attack him, then you would not even be able to cut his waist. Huang Yuanbo suddenly stared at Lu Hongfang and Shi Peishan and once again said in a stern voice, Lu Hongfang, Shi Peishan, the 2 of you attack him together. As long as the 3 of us join hands, he absolutely would not be able to get away with it. Do you think that he saved us? He definitely has the desert geocentric spring tea on him, but he did not take it out. Shi Peishan frowned. Huang Yuanbo, it is not your first day coming out. Whether or not Brother Ning has the desert geocentric spring tea on him, we are all saved by him. Moreover, now that the poisonous gas from the poisonous sand beast has been removed, why would you still attack Brother Ning? Removed? Haha. Huang Yuanbo laughed miserably. If it was removed, this father would have already left. Why would I wait until now? The poisonous gas was only temporarily suppressed by Pei Guanghe. Can you see if your dantian is not able to flow smoothly? Although Huang Yuanbo's cultivation was the lowest, but he was a person from a 4-star academy, and was very knowledgeable. Shi Peishan and Lu Hongfang immediately tried it, and immediately understood that Huang Yuanbo's words were not wrong. Their poison was only temporarily suppressed, but was not removed. Seeing the 2 people's faces change, Huang Yuanbo cried out in a mournful voice. Ning Xiaocheng is not afraid of the poisonous gas from the poisonous sand beast, Would you believe that he did not have the desert geocentric spring tea? Taking a step back, even if he did not have the desert geocentric spring tea on him, he had drunk the desert geocentric spring tea, so his blood can be used to detoxify the poison. Huang Yuanbo's voice was getting smaller and smaller. Lu Hongfang and Shi Peishan suddenly turned silent. The two of them looked at Ning Cheng and did not speak. Lu Hongfang was thinking about whether or not to start, but Shi Peishan was thinking about why Ning Cheng did not explain anything. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. If he really had the geocentric spring tea, then he really would not be stingy, but he did not have such a thing. Asking him to use his blood to save these two people, he was not that noble. No one noticed, but Huang Yuanbo's body gradually shriveled up. The blood on his body also slowly seeped into the ground and disappeared. Boom boom. A burst of roaring sound suddenly resounded from the side of the passage, and the front of the passage suddenly lit up. Ning Cheng was not interested in continuing to team up with these two people. His figure turned into a shadow and disappeared from the front of the passage. Why did you not start? I think that Ning Xiaocheng's cultivation is at most at the Qi gathering first level. Lu Hongfang stared at Shi Peishan and asked in a deep voice. Shi Peishan coldly glanced at Lu Hongfang and said, I really hesitated a moment, but I think that Ning Xiaocheng certainly does not have the geocentric spring tea on him. If he had it, he would have already taken it out. But Lu Hongfang had only spoken 2 words when he was interrupted by Shi Peishan. The antidote to the poison, I will find it myself. Let me drink the blood of my savior and live. I, Shi Peishan, am not able to do it. Saying that, she simply ignored Lu Hongfang, and also did not pay any attention to Huang Yuanbo, who had already turned into a skeleton on the ground, and flashed away. Lu Hongfang touched his hair, and muttered a sentence. It really is very difficult to do. Ning Cheng rushed out of the passage, and immediately saw a bloodline. This bloodline was flowing in one direction. Unexpectedly, it was not even the slightest bit of consumption. Ning Cheng looked around. This was a very simple array formation. It looked like there were many ways to leave, but this array formation's life gate unexpectedly followed the direction of this bloodline. At this time he did not hesitate for even half a moment, and directly followed the bloodline. After the time it takes for 2 incense sticks to burn, Ning Cheng stopped. In front of him appeared a huge blood pool. This blood pool was flowing in all directions with a variety of bloodlines. Sitting directly above the blood pool was a gray-robed man. He could not see his age, but from the fluctuations coming from his body, he could tell that his cultivation level was definitely not low. Just as Ning Cheng was sizing up this gray-robed man, this gray-robed man suddenly stretched out his finger and shot out a bloodline. This bloodline fell on a distant boulder and slid down. Ning Cheng looked at the boulder. It had already been dyed a dark red. Originally the blood that was flowing out was actually the result of this person's cultivation. He was too clever for his own good. He chose the life gate, but ended up arriving at the edge of the blood pool. Alas, I tried to reduce the difficulty as much as possible, and almost moved this blood pool out, but the people who can come here are getting fewer and fewer. It really is terrible. This gray-robed man suddenly sighed. I think that there should be a lot of maps of the Lani country's ruins outside, right? Ning Cheng asked in a neither fast nor slow manner. Chapter 81. There are indeed a lot of maps, but it was not me who took them out. Rather, it was this person who took them out. The gray-robed man said as he picked up a skeleton from the blood pool below him. Even if this skeleton was soaked in the blood, it was still completely black, but there was a faint pressure coming from it. It made Ning Cheng immediately know that this skeleton's cultivation level was definitely not low. After the gray-robed man explained to Ning Cheng in a very polite manner, he then said to himself, "You alone are not enough." He had just finished speaking, when a few wind sounds resounded, as several figures fell down. Ning Cheng saw Yu Xing and Pei Guanghe, as well as 2 other people that Ning Cheng did not know. One of them was already at true condensation 7th level, while the other was at true condensation 3rd level. After the few people arrived, they were just like Ning Cheng, as they looked at the blood pool and the gray-robed man sitting in the middle of the blood pool in amazement. "This is enough," the gray-robed man said, as he threw out dozens of array flags, and said, "Well, no one else will come. Since the few of you are able to come here, then presumably your attainments in array formations are quite good. If your attainments in array formations are good, then you are definitely a smart person. The blood of a smart person is the most suitable for me to advance. Everyone help me advance." As the gray-robed man finished, Ningcheng suddenly felt a powerful force pulling him up. This force was pulling him into the blood pool. Ningcheng's reaction was extremely fast. In a flash he understood what was going on. This gray-robed man originally relied on these bloodlines to flow into the blood pool to cultivate. But he did not know why, but he needed a few people to jump into the blood pool to help him cultivate. Understanding that once he entered the blood pool, he would become a raw material for the opposite party's cultivation, Ningcheng was not willing to enter the blood pool. He did not hesitate to forcibly retreat. He wanted to get rid of this powerful pulling force. Splash! Ningcheng saw that the true condensation third-level cultivator that he did not know had already jumped into the blood pool. After this person jumped into the blood pool only had a few blood bubbles, before it returned to its calm state. The true condensation 7th-level cultivator suddenly shouted. This person does not dare to find a cultivator above the essence-building realm. His own cultivation level is definitely not too high. If we fight to the death, then we will have a chance to survive. If at this time we resist, then it would be impossible. Pei Guanghe also said. This friend is right, let's do it together. While speaking, Pei Guanghe had already taken out a long sword. Yuxing didn't even say a word as he swung his octagonal hammer. That true condensation 7th-level cultivator brought out a square-shaped black seal. This black seal was the one that brought out the greatest power, as it turned into a huge boulder with a radius of half a foot. As it rumbled towards that gray-robed man, Ningcheng controlled his body, while simultaneously bringing out a red flying sword to kill the gray-robed man. He always had some doubts about Pei Guanghe, so he still maintained vigilance against Pei Guanghe when he fought. The gray-robed man snorted coldly when he saw the four of them attacking him at the same time. He raised his skinny hands and made a grabbing motion in the void. As he made a few grabbing motions, the magic treasures that were attacking him instantly froze. "Old bastard, I'll kill you!" Yuxing shouted and suddenly threw out another octagonal hammer. At the same time, he quickly retreated. Ningcheng's heart skipped a beat. He felt that Yuxing's speed of retreat was simply too fast. He had tried his best and could only control himself to stay in the same place. How could he retreat so fast? Originally he had thought that there was a problem with that Pei Guanghe. But now it seems that there was a problem with Yuxing. Ningcheng did not even think about it, and once again forcibly revolved his true essence, and forcibly pulled open the distance between him and Yuxing. Yuxing did not seem to notice that Ningcheng was pulling open the distance between him and him. He suddenly brought out a white flying sword. The flying sword brought out a curtain of swords as it rumbled towards the back of that true condensation 7th-level cultivator. The true condensation 7th-level cultivator was trying his best to control his black seal. How could he think that someone on his side would suddenly attack him? After he understood, he subconsciously moved forward to avoid the sword curtain behind him. But he forgot that in front of him was the blood pool. When he moved aside, the pulling force immediately became stronger. It was not until this time that the true condensation 7th-level cultivator reacted. He immediately opened his eyes wide. He knew that it was inevitable for him to fall into the blood pool. This person was very decisive. When he found that he could not escape from the blood pool, he simply flew towards the blood pool and spat out a mouthful of blood in the air above the blood pool. The black seal that was attacking the gray-robed man suddenly expanded. He wanted to explode his own artifact. Ningcheng immediately came to his senses. He did not hesitate to control the 7 Pleiades ice needle that was quietly attached to the red flying sword. If he did not help at this time, then when would he be able to? The gray-robed cultivator sneered, wanting to explode his own artifact to attack him. He was simply dreaming. He raised his hand and was about to bring out a shield. But he had not yet brought out his shield when he felt a thin needle piercing through his body, protecting true essence. Not good, I was sneak attacked. The gray-robed cultivator had just thought of this. When the meridians in his body started to ache, a kind of icy cold chi quickly spread from his meridians to his dantian. It seemed that in just a moment, his dantian would be destroyed. At this time the gray-robed cultivator did not care about the huge seal above his head that was about to explode. The true essence in his body forcibly revolved, and immediately blocked Ning Cheng's 7 Pleiades Ice Needle. Almost at the same time that Yuxing sneak attacked the True Condensation 7th level cultivator, the True Condensation 7th level cultivator rushed towards the blood pool ready to explode his artifact. Ning Cheng used the 7 Pleiades Ice Needle to attack the gray-robed cultivator. While Pei Guang he raised his hand and shot out a talisman. Without the influence of the gray-robed cultivator, the talisman wrapped around his body, and in a twinkling of an eye, he disappeared from the surroundings of the blood pool. He had to say that Pei Guang he's timing was just right, not half a breath more, not half a breath less. If it was given to other people, even if they had this kind of talisman, very few people would be able to grasp the timing like Pei Guang he. Splash! The True Condensation 7th level cultivator was finally unable to control his body, and fell into the blood pool. The blood pool was once again filled with blood bubbles. Bang! A loud explosion sounded, as the black seal suddenly exploded. The formidable explosive force caused the blood in the blood pool to rise into the air like a column of blood. When Ning Cheng controlled the 7 Pleiades Ice Needle to attack the gray-robed cultivator, he once again punched out. This was his one and only killing fist, the Axe Fist. The killing intent of the Great Axe formed a line, and directly bombarded Yuxing's body from the side. Yuxing had just successfully sneak attacked the True Condensation 7th level cultivator, and did not even have the time to take back his flying sword, when he was attacked by Ning Cheng. He simply did not have the opportunity to dodge, and was directly hit by the Axe Fist. A bloody light spurted out from Yuxing's waist, as Yuxing staggered towards the direction of the blood pool. Ning Cheng immediately followed him, but did not fight back against Yuxing, and once again blasted out with his fist. Yuxing's heart was filled with hatred. He did not think that Ning Cheng's reaction would be this fast. Moreover, he even continued to attack him. He did not even attack the gray-robed cultivator. It was not realistic for him to take back his magical weapon to block Ning Cheng's attack. The only way to retreat was through the blood pool. If he did not retreat, then he would be cut in half at the waist. Splash! Yuxing was the third one to jump into the blood pool. When Yuxing jumped into the blood pool, Ning Cheng really brought out his artifact. The long spear on his back brought out a spear shadow. 22 spear shadows were like 22 icicles, and in a twinkling of an eye formed a profound ice spear net. Ning Cheng did not hold back even a little bit of his strength. He was very clear that there was no way for him to leave this place in a hurry. Now that the gray-robed cultivator was seriously injured by the explosion of the True Condensation 7th level cultivator's artifact, if he did not seize this opportunity, then he really would be an idiot. The clothes on the gray-robed cultivator's body had already disappeared, revealing a skinny and bony body. There was a huge bloody hole on the left side of his chest. Even half of his face had been blown away by the Black Seal artifact. Without the cover of his clothes, Ning Cheng could clearly see that this gray-robed cultivator did not even have legs. If not for Ning Cheng's 7 Pleiades Ice Needle sneak attack, then even if the True Condensation 7th level cultivator's Black Seal exploded, it would at most cause him to suffer a minor injury. But now he was not only seriously injured, moreover the 7 Pleiades Ice Needle had not been forced out from his body. If Ning Cheng did not continue to attack, then sooner or later he would have forced out the 7 Pleiades Ice Needle. But Ning Cheng's timing of the attack simply did not allow him to have even half a chance. The gray-robed man had just raised his hand to bring out a round shield, when he immediately stopped. The 7 Pleiades Ice Needle had already brought out the round shield, while the true essence in his body was slightly delayed, but at the same time, it had already exploded on top of his dantian. Being hit by the 7 Pleiades Ice Needle, the gray-robed man's dantian instantly turned into dust. Ning Cheng's 22 profound ice spear shadows completely fell on the gray-robed man's body. Ka-ka! A burst of cracking sounds resounded. The gray-robed man was turned into an icicle by Ning Cheng's 7 Pleiades Ice Needle and the 36 profound ice spear techniques. His whole body was like a piece of broken ice. Before he died, he still could not believe what he had just seen. In his eyes, although Ning Cheng was the first person to arrive here, but Ning Cheng's cultivation level was the lowest, so he did not need to care about him. But in the end, he actually died in the hands of the person with the lowest cultivation level, not because of anything else, but because every time the person with the lowest cultivation level attacked, It was as if he had already calculated everything. Not a single breath more, not a single breath less. Moreover, his most powerful move, unexpectedly, was not the thunderous attack that he had used at the beginning, but at the last moment, he had used it to give him a fatal blow. While the gray-robed man who had turned into broken pieces of ice finally turned into a small pile of ice slag. Ningcheng felt the pressure around him lighten, as he sat down on the ground weakly. At this moment he was very grateful to that true condensation 7th level cultivator. If not for that person exploding his artifact before he died, then he absolutely would not have been able to kill this gray-robed man. Chapter 82. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Ningcheng was able to restore most of his true essence with the help of the spirit stones. The red flying sword had already fallen into the blood pool, but Ningcheng did not intend to retrieve it, and just raised his hand to recall the 7 Pleiades ice needle. The gray-clothed man's belongings were hidden somewhere. He didn't have a storage bag or any other storage equipment on him. Ningcheng did not care about the things on the body of this gray-robed man. A person who relied on blood to cultivate. Even if he had something on him, it was not something that he wanted. It was only now that he had the chance to observe his surroundings. The place he was at had a radius of several hundred square meters, and the surroundings were shrouded by a formation, making it seem vague and hazy. In the middle of this place was the huge blood pool. The blood mist above the pool made it hard to see clearly. His divine sense swept over, but it was immediately blocked by the array formation. Ningcheng carefully looked at it several times, and confirmed that there was no other way out of this place other than the blood pool. The way in had been sealed by the gray-robed man. Unless he also had a talisman like Pei Guanghe, he could use it to leave this place. His only hope of getting out was the blood pool. Otherwise, he could only attack the surrounding array by himself. Not to mention that Ningcheng could not understand the surrounding array formations. Even if he could understand them, he would not dare to attack them casually. As for the blood pool, Ningcheng did not want to enter it. This blood pool was bubbling with blood. After a few of the true condensation cultivators fell into it, there was no more movement. Just looking at it made one's scalp tingle. Ningcheng tested the surface of the blood pool, and after confirming that there was no suction force, he flew over to the platform in the middle of the blood pool, where the gray-robed man was sitting. With a wave of his hand, Ningcheng immediately threw the bone fragments on the platform into the blood pool. Ningcheng used the long spear in his hand to knock on the platform, causing it to emit a burst of rustling sound. Is it empty? Ningcheng immediately became a little excited in his heart, although he did not care about the things of this gray-robed man. But he did not know how long this gray-robed man had stayed in this place. However, this relic was real. Perhaps all the items in the relic were stored here by the gray-clothed man. Ningcheng did not spend much time before he was able to see the array formation carved on the platform. This was a simple ceiling array formation. Ningcheng had only thrown out a few array flags, and with a raise of his hand, he was able to lift up a lid from the platform. A long and narrow staircase appeared under Ningcheng's feet. Ningcheng swept out with his spiritual sense, and after confirming that there were no problems, he stepped onto the staircase, while at the same time once again covering the outside of the staircase. It was unknown where the staircase led to. It was deep and long. Ningcheng walked for a full half an hour, before he finally saw that there were no more stairs in front of him, but instead there was a sandstone paved path. Around the small path, there were some illumination stones floating in the air. Ningcheng walked along the trail for nearly an hour, before he finally saw a stone house without a door. After confirming that there was no danger in this stone house, Ningcheng finally entered the stone house. In the middle of the stone house sat a white skeleton. It was unknown how many years this skeleton had been there, but it still exuded a powerful pressure. It was even more powerful than the skeleton that the gray-robed man had picked up from the blood pool. On both sides of the stone house, apart from a stone table, there was only a stone shelf. There was nothing on the table or on the shelf. It could be seen that the things here had already been taken away by the people who had come before. As Ningcheng approached the skeleton, he had some suspicions that this skeleton belonged to the legendary sea-opening realm cultivator. On the ground in front of the skeleton, Ningcheng saw a row of small characters. If you want to enter my sect, kowtow 49 times. Not to mention that Ning Cheng had not obtained anything. Even if he had obtained something, he would not kowtow 49 times to an unfamiliar skeleton for no reason. Ning Cheng walked to the foot of the wall, brought out the spear in his hands, and aimed it at the place where the words were written on the skeleton. Boom! The spear hit the ground, splashing up countless gravel. The skeleton suddenly broke apart at the same time, and shot out a dense amount of white bone arrows. Ning Cheng was startled, and immediately punched out with his axe fist. The white bone arrows seemed to be very old, as they were blown away by Ning Cheng's axe fist, and fell in front of Ning Cheng, unexpectedly not injuring Ning Cheng at all. Ning Cheng sighed, and looked at the skeleton, which had already broken apart and fallen to the ground. The ground that was blasted open by his spear, as well as the place where the skeleton had fallen, did not have anything. Ning Cheng was not disappointed. When he came in, he knew that the things here had already been taken away by the people who had come before him. At this time, a sand dragon fell down, and the roof of the stone house cracked open, causing the yellow sand outside the roof to fall down. Ning Cheng was not surprised, rather he was happy, since there was yellow sand falling down here. It meant that the Thunderfall Desert was above him. As long as he followed the yellow sand upstream, he would eventually reach the desert. A sharp cry came from a distant passage. Ning Cheng immediately recognized that the cry was coming from the voice of the young Queen Xiao Xiao. He did not know if this woman had entered the passage, or if the cry came from somewhere else. If she had entered the passage, then it meant that the array formation that sealed the blood pool had already been opened. But Ning Cheng did not want to go back. This ruin must have been searched countless times. Moreover, when he came in, he felt that the breeze was not right. The inside of the ruins was so strange, he did not have the idea of continuing to explore. It would be better to go up from the yellow sand that had fallen. When Ning Cheng crossed the ground that he had blasted open with his spear, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. He was a Tier 2 array formation master, so he could see that there was a concealment array formation engraved on one of the broken stones. He immediately picked up the broken stone, and with a little effort, an exquisite imperial jade seal appeared in his hands. The imperial jade seal was engraved with 4 words, Lani Country. Hua. The yellow sand was falling more and more. Ning Cheng could no longer think about anything else. He threw the imperial jade seal into his storage bag, grabbed his spear and instantly rushed into the yellow sand. Under the operation of his true essence, Ning Cheng moved upstream in the yellow sand. 1 hour, 2 hours. Half a day passed by. Ning Cheng was still moving upstream in the yellow sand. Ning Cheng felt as if he was at the lowest point of the sand, and was still far away from the top. Fortunately, Ning Cheng was already a true condensation cultivator, and was able to breathe internally, otherwise he would have been suffocated to death. After half a day he stopped, and began to rest and restore his true essence. After another half a day, Ning Cheng felt that the place where the spear was in contact with had loosened, and the next moment the pressure on his head had also loosened. Bursts of yellow sand rolled over. Ning Cheng gave a long sigh. He finally arrived at the top of the desert. Ning Cheng did not stay here for even half a breath. He immediately found a direction and quickly left the place. He wanted to leave the vicinity first, and then find a safe place to clean himself up, and then restore his true essence. An hour later, Ning Cheng found a withered poplar tree on the periphery. He decided to rest here. Before deciding to rest here, Ning Cheng swept out with his spiritual consciousness. At this time his spiritual sense could already see a range of more than 10 miles around him. A cultivator with disheveled hair vaguely appeared in the range of Ning Cheng's spiritual sense. This cultivator was staggering. It was obvious that he did not have enough strength. This was a female cultivator. Looking at her appearance, it seemed that she was running away from the desert. Luofei. Ning Cheng almost instantly recognized this female cultivator. It turned out to be Ji Luofei. Wasn't Ji Luofei in the Hua Continent's Falling Star Academy? How could she appear in the Thunderfall Desert? Ning Cheng almost did not think, and immediately rushed forward. In just a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng had already arrived in front of Ji Luofei. Ji Luofei saw a shadow rushing towards her, and almost subconsciously raised the flying sword in her hands and chopped it towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng simply raised his hand, causing Ji Luofei's flying sword to directly deviate. Not waiting for Ji Luofei to make her next move, Ning Cheng had already grabbed Ji Luofei's wrist, Luofei, what the hell is going on? It's me, Ningcheng. Is she dead? Ji Luofei's gaze swept over Ningcheng's face, and the crazed expression in her eyes immediately calmed down, and then she fainted into Ningcheng's arms. Ningcheng took out the water from the spiritual essence spring and fed it to Ji Luofei. He still had some pills in his storage bag. These pills were his spoils of war, but he did not know if these pills could be used or not, so he did not take them out. Ji Luofei was just exhausted. As long as she rested for a while, she should be able to wake up. Ningcheng looked for a belt and put Ji Luofei on his back. He decided to change to another place and wait for Ji Luofei to fully recover. Ji Luofei was obviously in the Falling Star Academy, but now she was running alone in the desert. Something must have happened to her. If she had not met him in time, then as long as she casually cast a desert whirlpool, it would be enough to swallow her up. Ningcheng once again changed direction, and at the same time sped up. Under the agitation of his true essence, some of the heat emanated out, causing Ji Luofei to wake up. Ji Luofei opened her eyes, and when she saw that she was on the back of a male cultivator, she immediately pulled out her flying sword from her waist. However, she immediately discovered that her flying sword was not on her body, and at the same time, she remembered the familiar face that she had seen before she fainted. Ningcheng. Ji Luofei's trembling hand reached out and gently stroked the back of Ningcheng's neck, as she spoke in a trembling voice. Are we finally dead? Ningcheng felt Ji Luofei's incomparably gentle palm caressing him, and was just about to speak, when he heard Ji Luofei continue to speak in a trembling voice. I'm sorry, Ningcheng. You asked me to help you take revenge, but I can't help you take revenge. You are my only relative. Even if I die with you, I am still very happy. Ji Luofei's ears once again rang with Ningcheng's words. Don't be nervous, come with me, just listen to me. Luofei, you already know my qualifications. After you leave, just remember to take revenge for me. In her life, no one had ever been so kind to her. Even if Ningcheng had bullied her for more than a decade, he had only been kind to her for a day, but she still could not forget it. Ningcheng was the only person who had used his own life to save her, so when she did not want to leave Ningcheng, she had no other choice. Unfortunately, before she died, she could not help Ningcheng fulfill his wish to take revenge for Ningcheng. Ningcheng suddenly felt a bit sour on the tip of his nose. He really did not do anything to Ji Luofei. Before he came out of the prison, he had even bullied Ji Luofei for many years. This woman still regarded him as her only relative. Compared to Ji Luofei's actions, Ningcheng suddenly felt very ashamed. On the surface, Ji Luofei did not do anything to him, but secretly went to the fighting pot and risked her life to win that chi-gathering stone, just so that he could cultivate. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.